Yeah, I'll be right with you guys. Just give me a second here. I'm holding for Sir Rod Stewart. He's a little annoyed because every time we do a show. Yeah, right with you guys. Just give me a second here. I'm holding for Sir Rod Stewart. Yeah, he's a little annoyed because every time we do a show, he's always last on. He never gets on. But if you guys have been watching the NMRAx, I would strongly suggest that you sub to it, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll always know when it's on. And it's a great show. Hold on. Yeah, I'm holding for Sir Rod Stewart. Yes. Yeah. Hi, Rod. How are Bill Graham from MRL, Model Railroading Live. I Guys, remember NMRX. Yeah, I'm talking about the NMRX, Rod. Yeah, you watch it too, Rod. So Rod Stewart watches it as well. Hey, Rod, listen. Let me just finish this up, and I'll get back to you. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to cut you off. I know I hung up the last time. That was not my fault. Relax, just relax. Okay, Rod. I'll be with. I tell you, these superstars. Get the guys model railroading. Hey, NMRAX, sub, like, and hit the notification button. Okay? Okay.
Welcome back to the last edition of NMRAx for 2025. Happy holidays to all of you, as well as a happy new year that follows that. I'm Speed at the bottom of the helix, and with us here today is Brad Anderson, who's doing the behind the scene, pull the levers, broke the levers, all those kind of things. So let's get rolling. With us is a longtime modeler, fascinated by railroad operations using car carts, enjoys laying his own track and building structures. He likes New England railroads because of the large number of prototypes and small train sizes. Please welcome Bill Huebner.
Good evening, everybody. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Festivus for the rest of us. I hope everybody's having a great night. Tonight we're going to be seeing my layout, really exploring my layout. It's an HO scale operating layout of essentially the main central, but with other prototypes, Grand Trunk, Boston and Maine, CP and St. J and LC, all of which operate. And as you're going to see, it's a complete layout, fully operational, but it doesn't have scenery, as it's kind of based on the David Barrow philosophy of minimal scenery and maximum operations, which is what this railroad's all about. So I hope you enjoy what you see here, and we'll see you on the other side. Brad, go ahead and roll the tape, please.
Good evening, everyone. This is Bill Huebner, and we're here to discover my HO Main Central Railroad, doing a mountain division in the 50s. Just to give you a brief schematic of what the layout encompasses is this diagram here. And it's got more than just the Main Central, but we start here to the east in Bartlett, New Hampshire, and the main line ran all the way into Vermont, into St. Johnsbury, where it interchanged with the CP and the St. J and Lake Champlain, a short line. And in its course, it went to Whitefield, where it interchanged with the Boston and Maine. And also there's a spur down here to a paper plant. And then over here at Quebec Junction, there was a Y, and that branch went up to Beecher's Falls, Vermont, and that is on the lower level. So on this diagram, when you come down, the first stop is North Stratford, where you interchange with the Grand Trunk, and then there's two towns where it ends at Beecher's Falls on the Vermont or the Quebec border. And the idea for this layout actually came from a article in, I think it was the February or May 2009 Model Railroader, where a gentleman came up with an N-scale version of this, which was really good. And I basically just took his ideas and transported it into an HO layout. And the geography is basically here. Here's Bartlett, kind of in the southeast, with the Main Central going all the way to St. J. CP runs north-south, and the St. J and LC is over here. And I've got the Main Central interchanges here. I'm sorry, with the Boston and Maine interchanges with the Main Central. And then here the branch line goes all the way up. This is the Beecher's Falls branch. And the main point here is an interchange with the Grand Trunk. And what I did with this layout, which is different than the original, is that all of these interchanges are live, meaning they're not just static displays. So we're going to see that in a little bit. Thank you. So in this next section, I want to go over the structures that I've got on this layout. And we're going to start here in the St. J yard on the upper level. And as you're going to see, the only structures I do have are related to the railroad, meaning there's no resident or shops or city blocks. They're all related to the business. And where I could or had the information, I scratch built it to the prototype. Where I didn't get too fussy about it. And if I could find a kit that would work, then I use that instead. So right here is a tower at the south end of the yard, and the inspiration for this is from a December of 1993 model railroader, model of the month, and as you can see, it was done by Mr. George Sellios, the wonderful model railroader, who I think has been an inspiration for many of us, where he used, you can see right here, just a simple kids Atlas plastic kit, and as you can see, I think you can see the price originally was $2.50, basically for kids. And what I'm inspired by Mr. Sellios, that I instructions from the article and recreated the same and added the figures and kind of built it. And I would never have thought of this. So again, guys, thank you for all your inspiration. So anyway, there are no structures been in the aisleway. I plan to build a flat. There is a large station, which was the CP, that's going to go in here. And as the track shows, there's a space between the main and the number 1 and the yard. And that was where a platform was. And I plan to construct a platform there at some later point. Moving on, again, there were structures in here which I probably will get to at some later date, but right now there's nothing here. The next one is at Gilman, and this I did have accurate information. This was the depot at Gilman, Vermont, and it was larger at some point, but based on some pictures I had, and I was actually at this site at one point before it got torn down, and I have a Sanborn map, so I actually had all of the dimensions for this structure, and I have pictures from all 4 sides, so it's complete on all 4 sides. And this is made from clapboard wood sheets, and again, it's really the same prototype. And in the paint, the color, the 2-tone gray was appropriate for my time period. So that one's accurate, and again, that's a scratch build. Again, moving along, there are no structures on the storage yard. Here's a storage yard here for the CP. So there's nothing there. Again, just a siding, more storage yards. These were just some kits I had, random kits that I'd bought and I built and just placed here. The only non-railroad structure I've got is this Feller's Garage, and this was a Monster Model Works kit. And if you've never had a chance to build their kits, boy, you got to try them. They are the best kits I have ever found. And I just built it exactly the way Jimmy there at that company, Monster Model Works, built it. And I was really pleased with the way it came out. And again, their kits are just wonderful and a lot of fun to build and relatively easy. It's basically gluing and painting. So then we come around here into Whitefield, and I had some information on the industries, but I didn't always have pictures of what the buildings look like. I knew there was a coal dealer here at the west end of town. So for this, I just used a kit. This building I've actually been in. It's on Route 7 above Bennington, Vermont. So I used the kit as the coal dealer. The same as this, there was a second coal dealer, and this is another kit. I can't remember what. Well, both of them are wood, and I think they're laser cut kits. And then this is the depot, which is a really close approximation of what was there. This is the Boston and Maine and Whitefield, New Hampshire. And it's a scratch built, but I did take the roof, I believe, from a Walther's Depot kit. And I've got pictures, and this is a pretty close approximation. So this was scratch built. This is all wood here. It's not plastic. And it worked because with a depot, of course, the track side is always the most interesting. And this actually was the appropriate side. This is the side that would have been pointing out. And it's still there. It was a Dunkin' Donuts. I think it's going to be repurposed into something else. So I've actually been in that building getting hot coffee, getting warmed up. Again, moving along in Whitefield, these are some other buildings. I knew what the industries were. I knew some of the things that were there, but I had no idea what the structures look like. So all these are scratch built, other than the white buildings there. Those are a kit of the actual prototype. The buildings are still there. But because I didn't have any idea what these look like, I knew what the industries were. I just scratch built what I could. And I'm moving here. This is the Whitefield diamond, a very famous diamond with the very famous ball signal, which is still there. It's not operational, or at least mine isn't operational. But the little building there, the diamond building, that's still there as well. Then they're actually working on the track. And then this structure here, really, I don't think there was a structure here. This was just something I did years ago. It's a scratch built, and it's based on a picture I found in a book on the Rutland, and I just loved it. It was a black and white picture, and I had one picture coming from this angle, and so I had to approximate the dimensions. And I've always been really happy with it, and I didn't have another place for it. And it was called State Line Plaster. So that's my recreation of State Line Plaster. And moving here along, there's really no other structures. So that's kind of the top end. And I'm gonna stop this now and go down to the lower level and show you the structures there. So this is North Stratford, New Hampshire, and it's the interchange point between the main central and the Grand Trunk, which eventually became CN. And there's a depot, and it's still there. It may even be served by Amtrak. And this is a close approximation. It's not perfect, but the roof lines are the same, and the dimensions are relatively close. And it's changed over the years, so it's not like there's a perfect copy anywhere out there. But again, the prototype work where the trackside and my layout, fortunately, it worked out. I didn't have to turn things around. So you got to see all the nice little details on the depot. Then there was a Grand Trunk freight house, and I've got a picture, and this is basically, I think, what it looked like at one point. So I scratch built that as well, gave it a foundation. And then over here, the Grand Trunk goes into the closet over there, so to speak. And I had no idea. I had names of industries here. One was like attrition feed mill. And so I did the best I could to approximate those. And then over here, there had been a Main Central freight house. And all the freight houses on this layout, they had a company design. They're the same dimensions. They just put doors, the man doors and the windows, slightly different locations. So I basically copied what they had. This was eventually knocked down. But again, that's another scratch built. And then the next town over is Colebrook, New Hampshire. And here there's a lot of structures. And all of the industries are correct. I've had to do a mirror image to get the location of the industries where I wanted. But there was an HP Hood. And again, I have no pictures of the structures. So these are just my best approximation. I knew they were here, but I have no pictures. And then this is the United Farmer structure. Again, this is a kit bash. This is 2 or 3 of those old Magnuson kits that I kit bashed and made into a creamery. And I kind of like the colors. The white and the green makes you think of milk and butter and that sort of thing. And again, it's a lower level, so I had to put a lot of details on the top. And then there was a whiting creamery. Again, no idea what it looked like. That was a scratch built. I had a picture of a similar structure, and I decided to use that as a copy. And there was another industry, American Fork and Hoe. No idea what it looked like, but I I basically scratch built this and or used some parts from a kit. And this was some kit for the Colebrook Coal Company. It was just a great kit. And again, since I didn't have the prototype, a kit would suffice. And then there was a John Pier. There was a potato company, I believe, there, and I just called it John Pier. There was one there at some point. And that's, again, approximation. I think I had pictures, and it's a close approximation. And there was a oil dealership there. I have no idea what it looked like. So again, I scratch built all of this or used kits from Walther's parts and did the best I could with what I had. And this town has all the industries, but I had to reverse it. And the key reason is this depot should be facing the other way. But again, I love all the details of the depot, and I didn't want to hide any of that. And this is a very, very close approximation of that actual station and what it would have looked at. And I actually got a first place online structure as a result of the scratch build. And then finally here in Colebrook, here's another main central freight house, kind of a standard design, all scratch built. And this Regan Feeds, there was a feed there. There was some kind of feed there. I don't know exactly what it was called. And this was a kit. I can't remember what it was. I built this years ago, and I just repurposed it here. And then finally, we're going to go around to the last town on the layout, on the lower level anyway, Beecher's Falls, Vermont. And again here, this is another depot that is a really good approximation. I had some pictures from postcards, and I had this side. I didn't really have the back side. So the fact that we were looking at the back side of the depot didn't really hurt me too much. And there's a T-Rex there. We just had an open house with hundreds of people the other day, and of course there's a lot of kids, and who doesn't like dinosaurs, so they're still out in the layout. Again, another beach, main central standard freight house structure. They all had slightly different windows and man doors and storage doors, but the size was always the same, the color was always the same. So, and that was here somewhere. And this this is just a scratch build, but it's just an approximation. I knew there was an industry there, but what it was, I don't know. And finally down here, this is a scratch build, and this really is a copy of the prototype. It was an octagonal, is that right? Octagonal water tower. And I had the plans, and that is basically the correct size. And as far as I can tell, and based on the pictures, that's what it looked like. And there was a turntable, and it's actually the correct size. And I just haven't gotten around to building a 3-stall engine house. I had done it, but I wasn't happy with it, and it's not on the layout now. And again, this is another scratch built. There was a coal dealership, and I got the dimensions from Sanborn Maps. So this is essentially what was there. Because blue coal was such a big marketer of coal back in the day, I decided to make the whole structure blue. Plus, I don't usually airbrush blue, so it was fun. And then this was actually an Ethan Allen furniture plant, but I instead renamed it Miracle Chair. And the reason is it's kind of an homage to one of my favorite model railroaders, Earl Smallshaw. Again, many things he did that I really enjoyed. And this is an N-scale architect's kit that I put together to simulate this large freight house. So that's the structures on the main central. Thank you. In this next section, I want to show you what the major classification yard looks like on the railroad. It's St. Johnsbury, Vermont. And I'm going to break this into 2 segments. This is the south end, and the yard, and it's still there to this day. The CP came down from the north, blocked cars, dropped off, interchanged with 2 other railroads before proceeding south all the way to Wells River and then beyond into Connecticut. From the west, so this is from north to south, there's a short line, St. J and LC, that came in from the west and came in on the CP main just below the yard. And then in the north end, the main central came in from the mountain division, and this was its terminus and engine facility here. And this was a joint facility for many years. And the entire railroad then goes to the east from St. Johnsbury. So this is the south end, as I said, and as we see here, I've got two engines or two trains that are coming out of storage. The one in the back is the short line, the St. J, and it literally just came into the main on the CP. It had to get a track warrant or whatever into the main before it entered the yard. But here we've got a CP northbound coming into the yard, and again the ladder and the track in the yard is identical to what the prototype had, other than the ladder was one track more. I think I've got 7 tracks here, and at this time there were 8, and all of this was research from Sanborn maps, so I was able to figure out exactly where the tracks were, what they were used for. And there's a lot of proper switching in here, meaning there's a lot of industries in here that we're representing, not with the buildings at this point. So again, here's the whole ladder, and that's one of the main switchers there, that little main central switcher that does most of the work. So here's the CP coming into the main, and each track has its own car card box, where as my yard operator is operating, he will place the cars. So this is the south end, and now we're going to proceed to the north end. This section is showing you the northern end of the St. Johnsbury yard. But before we get there, I wanted to show you how I have active interchanges for all the railroads. This is I have 9 storage yards, and they all have the same design. They have these 3 tracks, as you can see here. This is the CP North, and this is the arrival departure track. And a train will come in, and you can release the engine escape on the second track, and then the cars that aren't being moved this round are in the third track, the one closest to the aisle. And all it requires is 3 turnouts for the entire storage yard, and you get to build, classify, or block trains between sessions or during the sessions, which adds, I think, a lot of fun to the operation. And it's a very simple design that I worked out with a friend of mine, the late Bill Neal, who really showed me that you don't need that many tracks for storage. And because I've got 9 separate ones, I can't expend a lot of real estate on each of these storage yards. And these have worked out really, really well. So in this case, the CP from the north is coming around and is going to be entering St. Johnsbury from the north on its main. And again, like virtually all of the track arrangements, this track arrangement here, the throat that you see, is an exact copy of what the prototype had. This is all based on Sanborn maps, and I built all of these turnouts to replicate exactly what was there. So this is the rest of the yard here, and in the yard here, looking south, we've got a main central train that's going eastbound from the yard and going through the throat as the CP continues in from the north. And like I said, this is the exact same track pattern, and I built all the turnouts essentially off the Sanborn maps so that I could easily replicate exactly what the prototypes were doing. So I normally have sound on, but obviously I've got that off so that we can watch the trains and you can hear my voice, so to speak. So again, this is St. Johnsbury in total, and we're looking southbound here. In this section, I want to show you the paper plant at Gilman, Vermont, which was a stub end off the main of the main central. And I think as we see in the other part of this presentation, here's the lift out bridge. And then as you come down here, it's actually coming down towards the river. We've got the paper plant, And the track plan is identical to what the prototype had. And what was interesting is all of them were, as you're coming into the plant, were facing point, not trailing point. So in order to switch it, the power would have to come all the way down here and then push cars into the various sidings or spurs on the in the paper plant. So this is exactly what they had, or at least the arrangement, the number of turnouts. There were buildings here where on the aisleway, which I'm not representing, and all of this is the standard bench work, 18 inches by 4 foot with the normal legs. And everything is controlled again with the bullfrogs here. And this is a Monster Model Works kit, very briefly. I believe that one is too. And that large warehouse facility is a combination of about 3 of the Walthers Main Street warehouse, something like that, that I put together. And I really like those that model. So that's it for Gilman, New Hampshire, and the paper plant that was there back in the day. Thank you. This next section is a replica of the Whitefield, New Hampshire, where the Boston and Maine and the Maine Central interchanged. And the track plan is a duplicate of what existed, though compressed onto an 18-inch wide bench work. But the track work is the same. So the operations give the exact same feel as the prototype operators would have had, the same kind of switching operations. And here we can see a Maine Central coming along the back, and in the foreground is the Boston and Maine, and that's their depot. And it was the depot, really the only depot in town for most of the time that this was in operation by both railroads. And I have a number of industries here, and I didn't really have pictures of what was there. I had a rough idea, and so I tried to duplicate it as best I could. But again, the track arrangement is exactly the same, and you could go there today and find the tracks. In fact, they're refurbishing this line right now. So as we come here with the F units, I've turned the sound down so you can hear me a little better. We're coming into the diamond, and the part of Whitefield that's most famous is the ball signal. And there's a 30-degree diamond where the Boston and Maine crosses over the Maine Central. And in there, the first track, or the second track in, is the interchange track where they would shove cars in and out. And the one up front is the team track. And again, the track arrangement is really identical to the prototype, and we operate this all the time. And what's nice is both lines are live, meaning both the Maine Central and the Boston and Maine are live, and we run trains and interchange them rather than just having a dead interchange. So that's Whitefield, New Hampshire. Thank you. In this next section, I want to document or show you the south end of the railroad, which I'm representing Bartlett, New Hampshire, as the southern point on my railroad. In the prototype, the railroad continued south all the way to Portland, Maine, where it interchanged with other railroads and the seaport there. But for me, it's a staging yard, and in that area, there's 2 other staging yards, one for the CP's north end and, south end in the St. J and Lamberley County, the little short line. So we very briefly come out of staging out of Bartlett. And the town I want to show you here is Quebec Junction, New Hampshire. And there was really no town there. It was just a junction where the branch line going up to Beecher's Falls broke off from the main. And the track work here, like pretty much all of my track work, is an exact replica of what the prototype had, and we operate it the same way as the prototype, or as near as we could get. And the foreground track is the track that's going to run west to St. Johnsbury. And here there's 3 tracks, and depending upon which way you're going, you can drop cars for 3 different places on the Y. One Bartlett, St. Johnsbury, or up to Beecher's Fall. And in this instance here, this freight train is going through Quebec Junction and is going to enter the helix here and go down to the branch line, and it just follows itself down into the branch line, or down to the helix to the branch line. So that's Quebec Junction, New Hampshire. Thank you. In this section, I want to show you how I've modeled North Stratford, New Hampshire, which was an interchange point between the Grand Trunk and the main central. And this is on the lower level. And this basically shows the track plan where there's the Grand Trunk came from the north, the main central came here and then went down to the end of the line. And this third track here is the interchange track. And I have literally copied the track exactly like the prototype had. And where those 3 boxcars are the interchange track. So let's just take a minute and show a meet here. So I'm moving back to where the staging was for Grand Trunk. And so the train actually comes out of staging, goes into a hidden loop. It goes into a room. And what it's going to do, and this is the main central side, leg of the town, is it's going to, let me get over here, it's going to come out of that hole there. So the track on the left is the main line, and the track on the right was the Grand Trunk's secondary track, or where they would store cars, etc. So it would come into the passing siding. So let's just take a look at that. These are the Barrett Hills we talked about. I just threw that for the diversion to get onto the passing siding, and those 2 switches controlled by tortoises move together. So here comes the Grand Trunk off the main and into its passing siding, where it's going to deliver cars to the main central and also pick up cars from the main central. And also there's some local switching here for both the Grand Trunk and the main central. And because there would have been reciprocal switching set up here, they would have had to pass off if the Grand Trunk came in with an MEC car, it would drop it off, and then the car would actually have to be spotted by the MEC local. So there comes the Grand Trunk into the passing siding, and if we look down the track, here comes a local it's northbound coming into town, and the diversion track actually was the main. So as you're going to see, it's going to come in here, and it would do similar things as the Grand Trunk. They're going to pick up and set off for the main central on that what we call the number 3 track, the second one in from the edge, from the aisleway rather. And so most of the time there's only 1 train in here, but you could operate 2 because the Grand Trunk, coming back to the diagram, could only go on these tracks, main central here. So as long as they're not on the interchange track at the same time, you could easily operate, and they did in real life as well. And again, this track plan is identical to what the prototype had. It's maybe a little bit shorter. They had a little more length. And this is probably one of the most interesting parts of the entire layout. I can come down here, and I've got some professional railroaders. They'll come down here, and it may take them a real hour and 15 minutes to switch out just the 1 train. And it's just a lot of fun. And what's nice is you can sit here at this lower level, and you're very comfortable, and you can control the switches with the switch machines. And it's just a really interesting town to operate. So this is, like I said, this is North Stratford, New Hampshire, which is on the border with Connecticut. And this tells the operators kind of how the track is arranged. So there's that town. In this section, I'm showing you one of the towns on the branch line that goes up to Beecher's Falls. at a Quebec Junction. As you can see, this is on the lower level. I'm going to turn the sound off. And the SW7 is coming in from the north, from Beecher's Falls. So this is the north end of the town. And this is a real town on this branch line. And the track arrangement is identical to the prototype, except I've reversed it. The depot should be on the other side of the tracks, and the oil dealership here should have been further north. But I wanted to show all the details for the depot, you know, the passengers, all of that kind of thing. So it's kind of a mirror image. And again, that was just something a friend of mine, Bill Neal, had suggested I do. He says, don't get, if you're trying to get the prototype operations, if you can flip it, the switching is really going to be the same for your operators. So that's what I was trying to do here. And so, again, this is Colebrook, New Hampshire. And down here on the lower level, this is about 31 inches. I have it where my operators can sit and throw switches here rather than having to walk back and forth and use the bullfrogs or push-pulls as I have in other parts of the layout on the top side. And these have worked really well. I love the tortoises. So most of this is really is close. I didn't have pictures of all the actual buildings, so I did the best I could. But I was much more interested in getting prototypical operations to do the same thing that a crew would do. And that's really what this railroad's about, is duplicating or providing the operators with an experience that the conductor of a local would have on this line. And so I think we've done pretty well with that. So here the train is on the main line. There's a passing siding, and then there's two tracks on either side that are the spurs that serve the industry. So as we're looking down here, we're going down to the south end, and there were 3 creameries here. They were the major industries in this town, and I've represented each of them. Basically each day, one car, an empty went in and a load came out. So there's a lot of milk traffic here, and that's what we're duplicating here. And it was certainly still in operation for the time frame that I have for this layout. So again, this is the south end, and those cars sitting there were switched out and will be picked up on the way down. So that's Colebrook, New Hampshire. Thank you. At the northern terminus of the Mountain Division is Beecher's Falls, Vermont. Originally, the prototype planned to go all the way into Quebec to various limestone deposits, but it actually ended in Beecher's Falls. And in the real world, the Canada is literally at the end of this yard, the frontier. So this is the south end of the yard, and I want to show you what we're doing here. And at this end, I've got the turnouts controlled with an older system, just using toggles and LEDs, which I created, which eventually is going to be replaced with the touch toggles. But here's the yard throat that comes in from underneath the upper deck. And again, like all my lower deck, this is at about 31 inches, so my operators can sit in an office chair while operating. And this track plan literally is a copy of the prototype, like I've tried to do with all of my towns. You know, at the end. So all of the switches are really the exact same as what the operators would have had. So as we're moving north towards the end of the line, you can see we have the depot in the freight house. And for each of my towns, to help my operators, I have essentially a map that shows where the various industries are, so they will know how to switch the cars. Because this layout is really about local switching, car cart operation. That's what this railroad's really about. So now we're looking, again, further north, and there was a 63-foot turntable there. There was a 3-stall engine house, which I haven't really built yet. But this is all in the exact same track arrangement. And because I'm representing November, they had on the team track here, they shipped out Christmas trees. So I'm representing that. And they would ship them out in box cars, flat cars, gondolas, whatever they had left lying around. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. So we're looking north, and again, that's the octagonal water tower that was there. And I'm doing kind of the transition era. And then at the very end, that was the end of track back there. And they would have to then shove in to this other team track here. But the main industry at the end of the line was Ethan Allen Furniture Company. There's still a facility up there. But for me, as I think I previously said, I called this Miracle Chair as a homage to the great model railroader Earl Smallshaw, who I had the opportunity to meet one time. And so that's the main customer up here. And there's a power plant there to receive coal. So this is a really busy little operation, and people clamor for this job because it's a lot of fun. You're kind of left off on your own, and you get to break up and classify new trains going out while switching all the customers at this busy, but relatively with very few tracks. But again, that's what I like about this. We're representing the prototype. Thank you. In this section, I want to show how I approach bench work. I've had many visitors come down, and one of the things I'm most intrigued with is the way I do bench work. And again, I'm using what has been called the domino method, which was developed by a model railroader, David Barrow, B-A-R-R-O-W, who's had many articles in Model Railroader and the planning books over the years. And all of these ideas are his, and I thank him for showing us how to do this. So the basic bench work is like right here. These are sections that are 18 inches wide. You can see a break there by 4 foot, which makes it easier to work with plywood. And the basic construction are strips of 3/4 inch birch plywood cut or ripped 3.5 inches wide. And from there I make a box, and on top of that is a 5mm layer of Luan plywood, which then get painted, and the track goes on top of that. And the legs are, I take basically 2x6, just construction type wood, and rip it into 1.5 inch squares that I then use to make these legs. It's more economical to do it that way. And each domino has 2 sets of legs. I know I could probably take out one, but it's actually easier when you construct this because you can do it by yourself if you need to. So looking underneath, and this is always something, everybody takes a picture of underneath the bench work, is how did I do this? So you could screw one piece of bench work to another, but what I did is Mr. Barrow did too, I just use these inexpensive C-clamps, and you can suck it in. And as you can see, the bus wires don't run all the way through. They run just the length of the module. And then I have jumpers that go to the next module. And that way I can reuse the wire, and it's easy to move things around. Because if you've just got bus wire all the way through, if you're trying to move things or reuse it, all that goes away. Or I can reuse a lot of this. So this is the underside. And again, it's just 3/4 inch plywood with a 3/4 inch top. And you can see how I'm wiring this. And also I want to touch on how I do the switch machines. And for many of the upper level, I use these bullfrogs, which is just as you can see, push-pull type mechanism. And these were kits built from the folks at Fast Tracks. I think it's handlaidtracks.com is their website. And they're really effective, and there's also a electrical switch built in. So they work really well. So just to show you those mechanisms here, I want to talk a little bit, we'll use this one here. I've got the push-pull here, and I've built my own toggles with 440 wire that I thread, and they hook up underneath the turnout, so it just very simply switch it back and forth. And because all my track, these are all my turnouts I make myself with fast tracks, jigs, etc. All these frogs are full metal and they're fully powered, so I've got to change the polarity, but I do that through the micro switch built into the bullfrogs. So that's the basic benchwork construction. But I want to show you another method I use in doing turnout. So I'm going to come over here in the yard. Again, you can see there's lots of bullfrogs here set to throw the switches up here. But because in the yard, particularly in this throat, I had so many switches, my operators could not figure out what lever to pull. So I ended up putting in electric switches. So I used tortoises, and these are controlled by what are called Barrett Hill or touch toggles. It's a company here in the States run by a fellow named Kevin, who is just wonderful. And his product's called Touch Toggles, and the name of the company is Barrett Hill. And these work great. And you can see they're just, as you throw one, I can throw both turnouts. And they're very, very effective and easy to set up. And what I like about this versus the more conventional control panels over here, I started with these, and these are fine, but they're just typical toggles. The trouble is, if I can't change that. All that work would just get thrown out. Where with the touch toggles, I can reuse all of the components. They're just plug and play. And the touch toggle is just pressed up against this piece of plexiglass here. So all the components, all the electronics, I can reuse if I ever want to. I don't have to throw it out. So I've been very, very happy with these. And lastly on this segment, as I said, one of the things I love to do, it's not for everybody, is I like to build my own track. And I don't build this in place. All this track was built at a workbench. All these, and they're just the things you can't buy. But I built them at my bench and then placed them on the layout as I went. And I think it works out. It's really, you can't really tell where the switch begins and the flex track begins. So here I built all these turnouts using the fast track jigs. And then for the flex track, I've used at least in here, I use micro engineering code 70. On the branch line, I did the same thing. I made my own switches, but I'm using code 55. It's hard to see the difference, but it was really more prototypical, and I like smaller rail if I can. So that's kind of a quick discussion of how I do bench work and track and switch controls. Thank you. In this segment, I want to discuss how I light most of my layout, or basically all of my layout, with LED strips. People that come down, particularly model railroaders, are always curious about how I did this. And this is something I came up with. I think I know other people have come up with it, but I'm basically just running this inexpensive channel that you can buy at any box store. It's about a 1-inch square, very light metal. And I hang them from the drop ceiling. And the key to this was buying that little attachment there that you can buy online. I'm not exactly sure what they're called, but they're all supported by very thin steel cable, and they have little knurls that you clamp onto it. You have to drill the hole into the channel, but it's all fairly light. So this whole section only has, I think, maybe 5 wires holding the whole thing up. And the LEDs, of course, are glued to the back of the channel, so they reflect down. The inside of the channel is white. And I had tried kind of inexpensive Amazon nonsense LEDs, and they were never bright enough. And so talking to some of the people I know, Bill Neal in particular, they had come upon, and I'm going to show you one of the packing slips here, a company called Environmental Lights. I believe they're out of California. And this is not, this is really for businesses. It's for commercial interest, restaurants and entertainment. And this stuff's more expensive than what you're going to find on Amazon. But I found it that their products work really well, and it was worth spending the money on. And they're bright enough. And I think you can put, and the other thing is there's actually somebody there to talk to, and they will help you figure out what you need, how much power you need. And what I've tried to do is I've got outlets up in the joist, and so I've got places to plug these in, so I'm not running wires, you know, off the walls, etc. And generally speaking, people talk about the Kelvins. You know, the 3000 is like an incandescent light. Sunlight's, I guess, closer to 4,000, and I compromised. I just went with like 3,500, which is kind of in between, and I think it works out fairly well. That's a whole rabbit hole people talk about, and I just think it's like, just get close enough. It's just white light. You don't need blue light. You don't need red light. Just keep it simple. I'm doing it so that the operators can read the car numbers, the names, you know, the initials of the car numbers, so we can operate. So that's how I do lighting. In this next section, I want to illustrate what I've done in order to create a drop-down leaf to get from the main line into this separate section, which is Gilman, which is a paper plant here. And I just want to show you briefly how I constructed that. And again, some of these ideas I got from some of the folks, narrow gauge guys in Texas. Thank you for that. So here we've got a 802 on the main, and we've thrown the switch so he can go down to the Gilman paper plant. And as you can see, this is less than perfect in the sense that I've got a fairly sharp curve where the joint is, but by aligning it, it will work perfectly. And then it'll cross over, get onto the main part of the set of modules that represent the paper plant. But what I want to show you is some of the ideas I used or got to construct this. So the first thing is it lifts up, and it's just a piece of 3/4 inch good birch plywood, not construction grade. And most of the time it's going to live up there out of the way so I can get access into the yard area. But this is the part that I got from the folks in Texas. It's just it's a bar where the piece can come down, and it sits on two places that you can adjust, and two on the side, so you can adjust the lateral and vertical alignment of the piece that comes down, and you use these bolts. The key is making sure these are all screwed in straight. And just as a safety measure, I've got just a little paddle switch here that hooks up to this piece of track, so that if somebody comes down here with a leaf not being down, it's going to stop the engine. But the other part that I liked is the fact that the hinge, and again, I stole this idea from a number of people, is the hinge is in below the lift out, so that when it's down, you don't see it. It disappears, and it's relatively clean. And again, 3/4 inch plywood with just a 1/4 inch of Luan. And sometimes this area needs to be adjusted. So in order to accomplish that, as part of my domino, I have these levelers at the bottom of the base, and every, once a year I might adjust them slightly, but it's worked really, really well. Thank you. This next section is to show the operation of what is really just a standard helix. And for this example here, we're going to be leaving Quebec Junction, which was a Y on the main central. And I'm just using this Bud car as an example. And the way I operate my helix, it's basically a black box you run into, and as long as you know where you're going to, it's just going to come out the other side. And it's got, I think, about seven loops. But just to show you This is what you normally see. You know, it just goes in and it's going to eventually come out down here. But just to show you what it looks like inside, to show some of the construction, I have these access holes. And the reason is that because it's a Y, you have to access the turnouts. And so it's just a simple hand switch here. But as you can see, this is the standard construction using the threaded bolt method, which I've really liked. This is the second one I've actually built. I redid it and I use this method and I really like it. One of the reasons I rebuilt it was I had too much grade. I had a 2% grade with 30-inch radius. This one is 1.5 with 30-inch radius. And it works better, but I still found out for a lot of my freight trains, if I get more than 13 cars or so, I really need to mew them up. But this has worked out real well. The only compromise I made is that in order to keep the layers thin, the radii are cut out of 1/4-inch birch plywood, a good grade plywood. I would have preferred 1/2 inch, but I was actually able to make this work to get the clearances that I wanted. And it's been in operation here for almost a year, and it really has worked out flawlessly. The track is just Atlas just code 100, and everything's soldered together, and there's leads to every track, so it seems to work really well. So I'm really pleased with that. Thank you. In the last segment, I was showing you the operation of what everybody considers a standard helix, you know, getting from one level to another. But here I want to display what I consider the poor man's helix. And it was an idea I got from one of my friends here, Robert Cabrera. And in this example here, we're looking at Berlin mills. There was a paper mill here, actually a couple. And this represents the Boston and Maine. There was a diamond with the Grand Trunk. And then there was an interchange track between the two railroads where they would interchange cars. So this represents that interchange track between obviously a dead Grand Trunk or non-operating Grand Trunk and the Boston and Maine. So that we typically see, but in my railroad, the Grand Trunk is actually a live railroad, but it's on a lower level. And that car there, the BAR wood chip car, is actually on that interchange track. So this has been dropped off by the Grand Trunk, by the through train, and it's been spotted here. And again, we can see this car here, or the car card representing that car. But instead of having a helix to get that car up here, and vice versa, the two cars there with the car cards down below, what I do is the crews will just spot the cars on an interchange track, either on the Boston and Maine to go down to the Grand Trunk or to the Grand Trunk up to the Boston and Maine. Rather than having a helix, I just 050 those between operating sessions, which is usually only about 5 or 6 cars, which is easy to do, and because I'm careful I don't break my cars. And then I've got a re-railer here handy to very quickly move the cars up and down between these two sections without having the work and space needed to with a normal helix. So thank you, Robert Cabrera, for the poor man's helix.
Wow, Bill, that was a mouthful. Thank you very much.
You're
Quick
right.
first question. How long did it take to build all this?
I got it up and running in a little less than 3 years. A
Whoa.
lot of it went quickly because I had built some of the modules ahead of time, but it took less than 3 years to get it all fully operational.
Cool. And then three trick questions. What kind of ballast are you going to use?
Imaginary, just like your friend Speed, imaginary.
You didn't have to rub that in. What happened to the people living in your towns?
I've been told I have to start building houses so the workers and families have a place to live. So I'll be working on that this year.
Okay, and big question. What would you do different if you had to start over?
If I were to do it a little differently, even though I enjoyed making the turnouts, Walthers has got tremendous HO scale turnouts, and I would probably just buy those and make those work just because it would go that much faster. That's about the only change.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for an awesome tour of the layout. And once you have the ballast done, maybe we do it again, or maybe we just record an operating session and tell people how you do it.
All right. Thank you very much, Speed, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you guys soon. Welcome back. This is the December and last edition of NMRAx of 2025. I'm Speed at the bottom of the helix. With me is Brad Anderson running the buttons in the background. Can't see him because he's kind of invisible. And then for tonight's clinic, we have two of the worker bees of the Rocky Mountain Rocky Mountain Region Convention coming up in 2026. So with us is James Wilmus, the Board of Directors for the South Dakota State Railroad Museum. He's a lifelong model railroader, currently constructing a model of the Black Hills and Fort Pierre Railway in HON3. And he runs the YouTube channel called Dakota Modelers Group. And with him is Shawn, a man who's working to keep your power turned on and dreaming about selling model trains in Florida Keys while wearing corgi Hawaiian shirts. Please welcome and take it away.
Well, hi there, and welcome to our segment of the show. My name is James Wilmus. As Speed said, I got a model of the Black Hills and Fort Pierre Railway in the basement. But for the last 15 years, I've been a volunteer at the South Dakota State Railroad Museum. And sometime last year, I became a board member of the museum. So I'm very excited to be here. How about you, Shawn?
I am very excited to be here. My name is Shawn, and I co-own Black Hills Caboose in Vail, South Dakota, with my wife, who unfortunately cannot be with us this evening. We've been in business selling model trains since 2016, and we operate out of a small store on our family-run ranch out in the middle of nowhere. I'm currently a contractor for XL Energy. We're currently working out of Texas and New Mexico to pay to keep the business running. We do specialize in primarily HO and N scale with the occasional, O or G scale to come through the door. We deal a lot in new and used product.
And so what we both have to share with you today is that we've got a NMRA regional convention coming to Rapid City, South Dakota in 2026. It is hosted by the Rocky Mountain region, which consists of, think of like all the states like Colorado and Utah, for instance, and Wyoming as well. So that's going to be happening here between May 13th and 16th of 2026. We've got a registration link up there on the screen, and that registration link is going to be good for basically all of your convention needs. So if you got a lot of the main questions, whatever, that's where you want to go. One of the big things to note is that we have a early bird registration that is going to be expiring at the end of the month here on December 31st. We're going to make sure to make a note of that every few slides or so, just so that people are aware of that. And in addition to that, we got, who's just joining us now, Mike Thorson. He is of the Black Hills Railway Society. I'm going to let him mic up real quick. But anyway, Mike Thorson, he is the president of the Black Hills Railway Society, a model railroad club in Rapid City, South Dakota, and he's also one of the main organizers of the event. So why don't we begin here with the slideshow? First things first is that the convention location is going to be primarily hosted at the Best Western Ramkota Hotel in Rapid City. Got the address up there on screen. And we're going to do a slideshow that kind of runs through day by day what's going to be happening throughout the convention. So we want to give you some idea as to what's happening, and we'll explain a lot of the events that are occurring. And now that Mike's all mic'd up, mind introducing yourself?
I'm Mike Thorson of the Black Hills Railway Society, current president, and I've been in the club for going on 15 years. So,
yeah, that, and then you got a model railway as well in your basement. I've seen it, pictures of it anyway.
Yep, I have the Lakeville sub. It's an N-scale layout, about 8 by 10, based in the rural areas of Minnesota, just west of the Twin Cities.
Very good. Okay, so if we're all ready to get started, we might as well get through this slideshow. So, early bird member registration is going to be $65. And then we've got a regular member registration that's going to be $75. Keep those two in mind. But let's get started. So first things first, getting to Rapid City. So Shawn, why don't you explain, because you've been all over the country, you kind of know the ins and outs of the area. How exactly do people get to Rapid City?
People can get to Rapid City by driving or flying. Unfortunately, we do not have any other major forms of transportation to come in, such as Amtrak, although we do hope that is coming in the future. Knock on wood. Primarily, most direct route to get to Rapid City is Interstate 90 if you're coming from the east or the west. You can come up from Denver, up 25, up through Douglas and into Gillette, both popular rail fanning spots. Your other option for getting here is coming through the Rapid City Regional Airport. We have 5 airlines that I believe fly into Rapid City, including United, American, Sun Country, on top of Delta coming out of Minneapolis, and we got a couple of others that come in during the summer. I don't know if they will be active by the time of the convention. We do get a lot of bikers that come through for the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, so you can even get here on a motorcycle. We would look forward to having you come. If you drive from Denver, you're looking between 6 to 8 hours. If you're coming from Minneapolis by driving, 9. Salt Lake City is roughly about 10. So we're fairly centralized to the northern part of the United States.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that we're centralized in a very rural area. There's really not that many cities nearby us. But if you're within a day's drive, of course, you're welcome to drive up. And for this convention, since we're in the Black Hills area, which we'll explain in a couple of slides, want to make sure that you can bring in your RV if you have that, or book campgrounds, that kind of stuff. But the main place the convention is going to be held in is the Best Western Ramkota. And Mike's got some information to share with us on that.
That's located north of exit 59 on North Lacrosse Street. It also has the Minerva's restaurant and bar inside the hotel that's all connected. There's a small water park with the pool that the kiddos can enjoy. And with this, we have the 4 convention halls that are rented out, 2 clinic halls, the model room, and the main room with displays and vendors. And Shawn is going to be there with Black Hills Caboose. And really close to the event is going to be Uptown Mall and movie theater, if that's something that you guys enjoy. We have plenty of restaurants nearby, right outside the mall and the convention. It's Olive Garden, Texas Roadhouse, Red Lobster, and just down the street is the Millstone, as well as a few others within a few minutes drive. We're also about 5 minutes from downtown and the Black Hills Railway Society, which is almost a direct shot from the convention. Registrants get the discounted price on rooms. I believe it's $107 a night until the 31st, and then it looks like it goes up $125 a night afterward. So obviously the early registration is better.
Yeah, indeed. I got myself a King Suite booked because I'm about an hour and a half out of town. So that was also at $107 a night for those of you who are interested, especially if you wanted to get a little bit better room. When you get to Rapid City, you're going to want to get this map. This is, it's not sold. It's a free map. They are available pretty much everywhere in the Black Hills area. And it's not a very well-detailed map for things like hiking trails and such. But when it comes to the main roadways and road conditions and figuring out where the towns are relative to each other, that is exactly the kind of map that you're going to want to have. So one thing I do have to note right away is that there is a small highway that is between Hill City and Deadwood. Hill City is roughly in the center of the map. Deadwood is going to be toward the north end. That 385 has a lot of road construction. So you're going to want to check in ahead of time and make sure that the road is open. Otherwise, since the convention center is at the hotel in Rapid City, which is the big city on the east side of the hills, on the right-hand side of that map, you can just drive the highway, I-90, all the way up into Deadwood. Or you can drive, I believe it is Highway 16? Yeah, Highway 16 into Hill City. Now, this convention, it's kind of scattered. We have our central location at the convention center, but we're going to be taking day by day going to different locations. So just so you know, Keystone is going to be one of the key cities. That's about 30 minutes from Rapid City, or the hotel anyway. Hill City is going to be about 45 minutes away. Deadwood is about an hour. And then to the east, off of the map, is Wall. And Wall is where the Badlands National Park is located. Now, when you get into Rapid City, May 13th is going to be kind of an explore on your own day. May 14th, we're going to be covering the central Black Hills. So think of kind of the center area of the map. May 15th, we're going to be up in the northern Black Hills. We're going to be centered around Deadwood and Lead. So that's going to be way toward the north end of the map. And then back on the 16th, we're going to be going all the way down to Rapid City again. Fortunately, we won't have to travel much for that day, but we're going to be kind of exploring throughout the city, and we got different clinics and such. So May 13th, you get into Rapid City, you want to find a few things to do to kill some time, or if you wanted to go see some of our beautiful sites in the area, we've got a few options for you. The first is our monuments. So we got Mount Rushmore. It's easily our most famous and most photographed monument. Then you got Devil's Tower in eastern Wyoming. That's about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Rapid City. But Devil's Tower, of course, quite famous. Less famous is Jewel Cave, but it is definitely something to go see. That's going to be west of the town of Custer. So if you end up throwing up Google Maps and you look at Custer, you go west of there, that's where Jewel Cave is going to be. And then there's an ongoing memorial being built called Crazy Horse Memorial. Crazy Horse Memorial, when was that started? 1960s, I want to say?
Right around
Yeah,
there.
it was sometime in the late 1960s. But anyway, this is going to be the largest sculpted thing in the United States. It is currently going on. The family of the man who started this carving is continuing to run it. And I got the two links there. So for any of our national parks or any of our national monuments, you're going to want to go to the National Park Service at nps.gov. The Crazy Horse Memorial is a private nonprofit, so they have their own website. And then in addition to these monuments, there's also a few parks in the area. What I think is my favorite park is Custer State Park. That's located just east of the town of Custer. Think of it like a miniature Yellowstone. There's a lot of driving around. You can go see a lot of cool rock features. There are lakes to fish in. There are roadways with tunnels. There's a lot of wildlife, including bison, pronghorn antelope, coyotes, prairie dogs. There's even donkeys. Basically, if you wanted to go on a wildlife tour, at Custer State Park is it. Then we also got two national parks in the area. The first is Wind Cave National Park. So this is our second cave of many in the Black Hills. But Wind Cave National Park, the cave itself is known for what's called boxwork. And I won't get into too much detail, but it's got 98% of this particular cave formation. So that's really cool. And then outside of the park, it conjoins with Custer State Park to form this big habitat for all these different animals. Then something that is really unique is Badlands National Park, and that's way out east of Rapid City, about an hour. Badlands National Park has all these really cool rock formations that are between about 20 million out to 60 million years old. There's lots of fossils to see, that kind of stuff. But anyway, there's the two links. We got National Park Service, and then if you wanted to book a state park, either get a ticket to go into the park, or if you were looking for camping reservations, you want to go to gfp.sd.gov. And then finally here we got our two tourist websites. So the first is visitrapidcity.com. I'm just going to mention this briefly. That is covering all of the events, hotels, other places that are in Rapid City itself. And then there's Black Hills and Badlands. This is the tourism bureau for the whole region. So if you're looking for things to do or sites to see, that kind of stuff, these are the two websites that you want to go to. All right, Shawn, and then as long as you're kind of heading up a part of this, why don't you take us through here May 14th?
May 14th is going to start out in Hill City with a ride on the Black Hills Central Railroad. You can find their website at 1880train.com. The plan is to get on in Keystone, get on in Hill City and ride the train to Keystone. You will get off in Keystone and have lunch on your own. You can tour Keystone while you're there. And then there should be a return trip back to Hill City where you will tour the yard and look at all 4 of the steam locomotives they have. Their most recent restoration, I believe, is former Potlatch, and then Weyerhaeuser 2662T. I believe it is number 110. Is it 110 or 108?
Well, they're both 2662s.
Yes. You'll get a chance to tour the yard, see both of those, be able to see their other 2 steam locomotives that they have. You'll also be able to check out old number 7, which is a famous locomotive that was used in a couple of movies as well as a Gunsmoke episode. You'll also see a section while you're riding the train of both narrow gauge and standard gauge along the path. So keep an eye out for that when you're riding it. After you've completed the yard tour and checked out the cars and the rolling stock and the locomotives, you can just explore downtown Hill City. They've got lots of shops, a couple of museums, including the museum that found the famous Sue the dinosaur. After that, you'll get dinner on your own, and there'll be clinics at the Hill City Center. After that is over, you'll return to Rapid City to the Ramkota for contest registration, hotel check-in, check out the vendors, and if we're lucky to have a layout set up.
All right, well, thank you, Shawn. So I'm going to go through here a couple of the main attractions. That's going to be our museum and the 1880 train. So the 1880 train, there's 2 primary engines, like Shawn mentioned. They're 110 and 108. They're both 2662 Malays. I actually brought up a couple of facts here from the website. So 110 was built in 1928 for Weyerhaeuser. The 1880 train bought that engine in 2000 and got it restored and in operation by 2001. And then 108 was built in 1926. So it was a little bit older, but that was, yeah, indeed for Potlatch. And the 1880 train got that up and running in 2020. So that's our most recent engine. When you're coming to the 1880 train, first thing you're going to want to do is to pick up your registration packets, badges. You're going to interact with volunteers at the South Dakota State Railroad Museum. And then the train's going to board at 10:45 in the morning. The train departs Hill City at 11 a.m. and arrives in Keystone at 12:15 p.m. There's going to be roughly a 1-hour layover there, well, 45 minutes. And in Keystone, that's where if you wanted to eat lunch or if you wanted to explore some of the shops, you can do that. And then it's going to take the return trip back from Keystone to Hill City at 1 p.m. Once the train gets back to Hill City, that's when the yard tour will happen. Now, when you first arrive, here's some of the scenes that you can expect to see. The train should be running on a couple of different, not routes, but a couple of different times. If you wanted to get out and photograph the train on your way up to Hill City or on your way back, you're welcome to do so. But then when you get into Hill City, our waiting area is going to be at the South Dakota State Railroad Museum. So the South Dakota State Railroad Museum, it was, what was it? It was 2010 when it was created. So the museum as an organization existed before then, but then we built the current facility that we're in 2010, and we've been in here ever since. There's a few different exhibits up, including, as you can see on the screen, a replica depot that we reconstructed inside the museum. And then there's also in the broader museum a caboose. We've got a model train display. And we've got a rotation of different exhibits that happen throughout the year. So that's something to look forward to. That museum is going to be open before the train takes off, and then it is also going to be open after the train gets back. So if anybody wanted to spend more time in the museum, they are welcome to do so. You do pay for the admission when you register for the convention, and that's the same thing for the 1880 train. There's a few different options available on the website. You'll want to run through those options and figure out what's right for you. And then once we are done at the museum and the 1880 train and you've done the yard tour, you're going to go to the Hill City Center. It's very convenient. It's located right across the street from the train and the museum. So not too far to walk, not too far to drive. And in here, we're going to have a few different clinics, including my own, which covers 3D printing. And then we're also going to have, there might have snack trays, stuff like that. We're still talking about catering. It depends kind of on what we want to have. And that takes us all the way to May 15th. So, Mike, why don't you kind of describe what to expect there?
So we're going to be looking at Homestake Mine Tour, the Northern Hills Railway Society Tour. It's actually the sister club to the Black Hills Railway Society in Rapid. The downtown Deadwood and Lead, that's really unique because we have lots of boutique shops, a lot of historical artifacts, and as you can see on the screen, you get to get the whole vibe and the feel of what Deadwood was like. One of the unique things about being in Deadwood is that we're going to be able to start with some of the history of Deadwood. The Custer Expedition of 1874 is what initially found the gold in the Black Hills. It was after that was when the Homestake Gold Mine was starting up, and it was once the largest gold mining operation in the world at one time. It produced roughly over 40 million troy ounces during the operation life that it had, and it also has one of the largest networkings of underground mining trains as well. There was a very large fleet of compressed air engines of 18 and 22-inch gauges, and it now has become a very top-noted scientific research facility as well. So what does that all mean? We're going to be looking at the timelines. So the Homestake Mine Tour is going to start around 10 a.m., and it'll go for a couple hours until noon. We'll be looking at lunch from noon until about 1. And then as we wind down from that lunch break, we're going to be starting out at the Northern Hills Railway Society about 1:30 until 4 p.m. It gives plenty of people to come in, cycle through, see what they've got there, and then it allows you to explore downtown Deadwood and Lead areas, such as checking out the Black Hills Mining Museum, which is always a treat for anyone who hasn't visited yet. The Adams Museum. There's always plenty of casinos and saloons, as I mentioned already, the downtown shops, and also advice, be able to get some advice from folks volunteering at the museum and also at the Northern Hills about finding some parking. We won't be too heavily with the tourism at that point, but it never hurts to have your ducks in a row about the parking. So, keeping on with some of that stuff, one of the other unique things that we can offer in the Black Hills will be in Rapid City, and that's the Riddles Factory Tour. It's the Black Hills Gold, Landstroms, and Riddles, as well as many other Black Hills Gold jewelry manufacturing that takes place at this location. One of the things that's very unique to this is that you get to see how Black Hills Gold jewelry is made in the factory during the factory tour. So during that factory tour, you're going to be able to go onto the factory floor and see it up close in person. It's everything from the designing, the 3D printing, the hand carving of the waxes, the hand wriggling and texturing of the Black Hills Gold leaves that it's signature for, and all sorts of the casting and everything else in there, as well as some gemology and diamond cutting as well. but I don't want to spoil it for you, so you'll just have to come and check it out.
Yeah, and then I would have had photographs of the factory, but unfortunately, security is quite tight down there.
Security is incredibly tight, and there is no photos and audio actually of that.
Really, even audio.
That's not. It's frowned upon.
So what I had to do instead is here's a historic photo of the Homestake Gold Mine back then. I insured copyright, so we're all good. Yay!
Bonus.
Yep. But anyway, that's going to conclude May 15th, and we're going to have all kinds of clinics then as well in the evening. But then on the 16th, that's going to be the main day of the convention. So on the 16th, you can expect to go to an open house hosted by the Black Hills Railway Society. We might have an operating session in the works as well.
I believe so.
Yeah, so we're going to try to get that all set up. And then, of course, the model contest judging is going to be going on. There's going to be clinics throughout the day, I believe primarily in the afternoon. And, of course, there's going to be an awards ceremony as well. Now, that jumping into the Black Hills Railway Society, we don't really have a website as such, at least anything we've been updating, but we do have a Facebook page. So there's the link up there. We're trying to make the layout look a little bit more like the Black Hills over time. We've got a few things that are under construction.
Geographically accurate, I think, is the correct term.
Yeah, geographically accurate. We're trying to like embrace the spirit of the area, I'd say would be a good thing. Here happens to be a trio of my Proto 2000 SD9s. This is exactly the kind of scene you would have seen in the Black Hills circa about 1960 to 1970-ish.
Highline-ish.
Yeah, definitely. Very much. Now, the club is located at 426 St. Joseph Street in downtown Rapid City. Very easy to find. You're just going to look for the Stock Growers building. It's a big neon sign with a cowboy riding a horse on it. Can't miss it. We're only a couple blocks, I think, from the big hotel as well.
Yep.
And then, Mike, what time is the club going to be open?
The club's going to be open from 9 a.m. until noon. That's plus or minus a few minutes just because we know how things go. As James mentioned, we're looking at maybe doing the operating session. And of course, there's always a work in progress. We are constantly expanding and working on the layout. And one of the things is that James can tell you a little bit about the N-scale project.
Yes. So we've got a N-scale layout that we've been rehabbing. It started as a 2-track layout that was 4 feet wide, and then it was 24 feet long. Well, we cut that down to 16 feet so it would fit inside the building a little bit better. And then it's been about a 3-year project of rebuilding stuff when we're hoping to have this nearly complete. One of the cool things about our club is that we've got a wide variety of members, including some of our younger members. Here's Seth. He's still in high school, but he's learning a lot of the basics of model railroading, and he loves coming down. He loves helping us out. And then, of course, we got a whole crew that consists of Mike over here, Ricky, we got Steve, and let's see who else, Jeff Wessels as well.
Jeff Poole has been coming back. You as well, putting the effort into the N-scale. Mitch, he's been coming down to a lot of our open houses and doing lots of stuff, involvement with getting some of that stuff up and running as well.
Indeed. And then Mike, of course, is an accomplished modeler in his own right. I think I surprised him a little bit with this, but I got his caboose in here.
Just a little bit. So one of the fun things that I like to do for our winter open houses is I like to run my BN snow train, and James has got this, the tail end on here, which is just a Athearn caboose, but it's been weathered and slightly detailed for that.
So anyway, that's going to more or less conclude what you can expect to see in the convention. Again, we have priority registrations, what I call it, but its official name is early bird registration. That is going to end on December 31st. So if you want to get that registration in at a discount and the hotel at a discount, be sure to register within the next 2 weeks. I think we got, if I do my math right, 13 days?
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, something like that. 12 to 13 days before that expires. At that point, it's going to be the regular cost. So early bird registration is $65. And then the regular member registration, which is going to go until March 31st, is $75. If you're not an NMRA member, or if you register really late in April, it's going to be $90. Spouses, we've got them priced out at $30, and then children are going to be $20 each. And some of us locally, we also have quite the discounts as well.
Cool.
Then day to day, what's cool is you can pick the different activities you want to do. So anything that we just described, you are welcome to pick that. Maybe you want to ride the train, you pick that. If you want to instead photograph the train and follow it along, you can do that instead. You won't need to buy a ticket then. Then like the mine tour, if you're claustrophobic, maybe you don't want to be inside of a mine, but
That's fair.
yeah, you can always go over to the mining museum instead if you wanted to. So that's going to more or less conclude what we have in store for the convention. Shawn, did you want to mention anything else about Black Hills Caboose while we're still on air?
Black Hills Caboose has decided to partner with the NMRA and become a partner membership, and we're going to be offering all NMRA members a discount through our website. You can go on our website and get a 5% discount off your entire purchase by putting in going to blackhillscaboose.com. And when you complete your purchase, use the coupon code NMRA5 for a 5% discount off of your total purchase. We will be set up due to our location out to where we are. We are actually on an active working ranch that was homesteaded. So unfortunately, we don't have the space to have the groups come out. So we will be setting up at the convention's location at the convention hotel. So we'll be looking forward to seeing people who come in and visit us there. We buy, sell, and trade. And we will also have some special cars that are being brought to us by the Rocky Mountain region that we will have on hand for sale for the Rocky Mountain region, their previous run cars for them.
Excellent, Shawn. And I, for one, am very excited to see you over there at the convention and see the full setup. I haven't asked Mike yet. How excited are you for the convention? You kind of missed that first part.
Yeah, sorry. I was on my way in, and weather has been not so great to us lately. Very excited for the convention, though. It's going to be exciting. Haven't had an opportunity to do one of these for a number of years, so this should be really fun.
Very good. Now, I'm going to ask, I'm going to have to break protocol real quick. Speed, is it okay if I stop sharing this so we can get our camera up and get our faces there?
Sure.
All right, very good. How are we doing on time? Are we about ready for Q&A, or do we got a few more notes we got to do?
You give a few more minutes if you have something to tell the world.
Oh, I suppose we could do that. So anyway, let me get back to that. All right, so we got a few things that we can do throughout the Black Hills as well. This is something where if you're going to show up early or if you're going to be staying late, that's something that you might want to keep in mind. To begin with here, we got the George S. Mickelson Trail. This is a very long pathway that you can bike on, hike on, you can ride horses, etc. It's 116 miles. It crosses 80 bridges, and it's got tunnels. Former CB&Q High Line that ran from Edgemont all the way to Lead Deadwood. Now, I'm not saying you have to take the whole trail, but you can do like little segments of it if you wanted to. Another one here is we got the Black Hills National Forest. That's right in our backyard. In fact, Hill City, we're in the museum. The forest kind of surrounds us. This whole area, it's 1.2 million acres. I believe it is the first national forest in the system, if I remember correctly. I know it was the first timber sale.
I'd have to let you.
Yeah, I'll let the people look it up on Wikipedia or something. But anyway, there's all kinds of hiking trails. There's peaks that you can go on, fire towers. There's campsites available as well. So if you don't want to just be cooped up in a hotel for 4 days and it's good weather, I suggest come on out to the Black Hills, maybe spend a night or two out there.
There's also some really nice cabins
along
the route too. So if you're really down for scenic, one of the small log cabins will definitely do it.
Yeah, some of those are definitely it. And then
I'm going to let Mike and Shawn kind of take over on the rail fanning opportunities, because you guys have been all over a lot more than I have outside of the hills.
Sure. Shawn, do you want to jump in on that first?
Yeah. You know, there's when you're rail, if you go take the opportunity to go rail fanning, you can head south and go through the BNSF's Butte and Black Hills subdivisions. You can go visit places like Crawford Hill, Alliance, Nebraska, Edgemont, South Dakota, and Newcastle, Wyoming. Very active on the divisions. Lots of coal trains coming out of the Powder River Basin running through here. Edgemont, I believe, is still a crew change point, although I do believe
it's changed. Yeah.
I do believe that it was changing or will change here before too long. Alliance, former Burlington Northern Yard, very, very popular, very active. Easy to access, heading down 385 south out of Rapid City, heading straight down to Nebraska. Newcastle, Wyoming. If you're headed out of South Dakota, on either on your way in or on your way out, you run through Newcastle, kind of an old town. Nice depot along the tracks, just outside of its southwest of Rapid City, about 2 hours. Can easily be accessed if you're driving up from Denver. You could actually drive right through Newcastle on your way to Rapid City.
Yeah, just to jump in on that a little bit more, since I've probably visited the Crawford Hill, Alliance, Edgemont area more recently. Crawford Hill still has crude pusher service, so you get to see that. They also cut off at the summit. So that's really interesting to watch if you're into that kind of operations. Shawn said the Alliance Yard is really accessible. It is, as Shawn mentioned, very busy. So you want to make sure that safety is your utmost priority when you're doing that, as well as being on the hill at around Crawford area. And great options as far as for people who coming out this area to see.
Yeah, indeed. Now, since there's so much to do, there's a lot we could talk about, honestly. We could probably go on for 3 or 4 hours if we really wanted to.
I don't think anybody wants to hear
No,
us
nobody
talk
wants
that
to hear
long.
us talk for that long. So, how are the questions pouring in there, Speed? Are we about ready, or do you want us to mention a few other things?
First one, if I'm coming from a foreign place, which airport would I use to get to you guys?
You would use Rapid City Regional. Most international flights, depending on how you would come in, would either come in through Minneapolis or they would come in through Denver.
Okay. Anything from Chicago?
I don't. Well, there might be a seasonal one.
It would probably be seasonal.
Yeah.
If that's
I
operating.
would believe it would be seasonal. Most flights, I fly out of Rapid City Regional usually twice a month, in and out. Most of the flights either fly in and out of Minneapolis or in and out of Denver. American does fly out of Dallas-Fort Worth.
I saw that one. Cool. Next one. Are there any other tips or advice for people coming to the area that's never been there before? Like use bug spray or...
You guys want me to take that one?
Yeah, you probably should.
I'm more of the outdoors guy of the group. So you don't necessarily need bug spray. What's nice is that we've got a very dry climate. There are some insects near lakes, so maybe have a can handy, but you don't need to spray it on you the whole time. Pretty much anything west of the Missouri River out here is going to be pretty dry. So I do know weather can be iffy. That one,
Yes.
we have no way of predicting it. May's kind of the turnover season where you're going from winter. We have a really short spring, and then it's immediately into summer. So I definitely recommend packing at least a jacket and a hat at a minimum. Expect to have at least one day that's going to be kind of rainy out of those 3 or 4 days. There could be some snow in higher elevations, but we don't know yet because it depends on how the winter has been going. Let's see, other things they have to know. Again, make sure you grab that free map. So once this whole thing is done, you can go back and click on that little segment. It's a free map. It's available pretty much everywhere. We even have it here at the museum. So
a lot of visitor centers along the route as well have that. I believe it's even available online if you search.
Yes.
You just want to make sure that it's a high quality image.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it's available through the Black Hills and Badlands Convention Bureau.
There we go.
Yep, they're the ones that print it out. So yeah, so there's that, and then of course go to those two websites that have all the events and stuff. They'll give you a lot more info than we can pack into a couple of minutes.
I will give you one more. If anybody is really into the rail fanning, the outdoor, more of the scenic routes, I would suggest that you pick up the Delorme State Atlas.
Ooh,
It's
that's
the
a good
big
one.
one that's like what, 12 inches by about 20 inches. It gives you sections of the state to look at. It breaks it down by highways, gravel roads, railroad tracks, all that kind of scenic stuff, as well as parks, forest services, and a lot of the attractions. That would be a really number one option for South Dakota.
Indeed. Well, I hope we answered that one pretty thoroughly.
What's the so you don't have bears, and I don't have to bring protection for that.
No, there's no grizzly bears. The last one I believe was shot in like 1900 or something like that. And then there are occasionally a black bear that comes through, but we don't have an established population.
Okay.
So I would still like keep a clean campsite and keep your wits about you. But other than that, I've never physically seen a bear in the hills. I've only heard about them now and then.
Okay. How big is the population of the state of South Dakota?
Let's see. We're up to, I don't know if we've passed 900,000 yet.
We're probably pushing pretty close.
We're close to it. Our last census, I believe, put us at about 880,000 people. We're one of the smaller states in the country.
And the biggest city is?
Biggest city is going to be Sioux Falls. It's coming in at a whopping, I think, 130,000, and then you got about 250,000 in the suburbs around it.
Yep, that's about right.
Okay.
Just a quick note check. We are right about 920,000 statewide.
Okay, 920.
So what kind of projects do you guys still have to finish there at the BHRS and the museum?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'll turn that over to our project head.
Oh boy. So as James mentioned a little bit earlier, the club became a club back in the 80s, and that was back when the blue box equipment was prevalent. So they kind of made the track plan to fit what the equipment we had available at that time, and then fit everything in to kind of work with that. So a lot of the scenes, a lot of the towns were only representative of the area. So to answer your question in a little bit more detailed fashion, our projects have been to redo a lot of those diminutive type scenes and recreate them more accurately to the way that they looked right around like the 1990s to the mid 90s. A lot of the buildings and the structures were built and pretty much completed by that time. So the overall image really hasn't changed. So we'll be able to keep the historical look and the feel to some of those scenes. Ironically, the most recent project is the Hill City area. We just added about 10 extra square feet to that scene where we'll be able to rebuild the South Dakota State Railroad Museum, the depot, the platform, car shop that everybody will be able to tour.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And I know we're trying to get everything that we possibly can done by that point.
Yes.
There is one project that's been lingering for a while. That one probably won't be done, but a lot of the smaller stuff around it, I think we're going to get accomplished before May.
I tell you, there's nothing like a deadline.
That's right.
Yeah, indeed.
So, personal question. Do each and every one of you have track and engines and cars somewhere that you can run, or are you part of a club to run your equipment, or do you have no trains at all?
Start with
All right, so
someone else.
start with someone else. Okay. Yeah, all the club members do have trains and equipment, and a number of us do have smaller train layouts in our homes. Mike, yours is, I think it was what, 6x10 about?
8x10.
8x10, yeah. So he's got a little N-scale switching layout inside the corner of his big basement that he's doing.
It's a G, like a G shape with a small peninsula.
Yeah, there's that, or a U shape, I guess you could call it too. And then I've got a 8-foot by 12-foot layout that is kind of in an island style. The idea is you can walk all the way around it, and it's up at eye level. So it'll be eventually really detailed narrow gauge scenes. The one outlier here, Shawn, what do you have that you typically run if you run stuff?
If I typically run, I am primarily a Burlington Northern and Montana Rail Link modeler. But due to my work, I used to actually be an active member of BHRS, but because I travel for work, that no longer has been in the cards for the last several years. But I have taken the opportunity to become a volunteer with the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. I'm an active volunteer there. I've also had the opportunity to become a volunteer and member with the Amarillo Railroad Museum in Amarillo, Texas, and wiring up one of the guard cars from the original nuclear white train that transported nuclear weapons.
Ooh.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
they have something stored outside there, right? That
Yes, at the Amarillo Railroad Museum, they actually have 13 cars of the white train, including one of only 2 remaining cars that was actually used for the transporting of nuclear warheads.
So do you have to go with a dosimeter or something when you approach, or?
No, there is no. Those were, if there was any radioactive, any radiation or anything that was there, it was cleared out by Pantex when they donated the train in the 90s.
Okay.
Okay, so no glow in the dark paint on your models, Shawn?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Only
okay.
at Halloween.
Only Halloween.
Shawn, you need to talk to the people there. We would like to have that museum present on NMRAx as well. So, and
I will speak with them this afternoon after we get off this deal.
Please do, and then eventually we need to get James and Mike also showing the BHRS and the museum.
Yeah, I think we could handle that eventually.
That'd be really fun.
Our only issue is we don't have internet in that building, so we're gonna have to take a lot of photos, video.
Well, we can smoke signal something.
Yeah, I could do that. So if you look at the code, you'll just interpret that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We get somebody with Starlink to just run a cable downstairs.
Oh boy.
So there is some rumor here about a Rocky Mountain Region division. I don't know if we need to touch that subject.
So Rapid City was originally part of, I believe it was the West Central Wyoming Division, and that particular group within the area had actually disbanded because there were no active members within it. The Rocky Mountain region would like to reestablish that, I believe, as part of the actual Northern Colorado division.
Okay. Because I believe Michelle resurrected that about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and we're hoping to make Rapid City a local headquarters at some point. We're still kind of shopping around the whole NMRA idea. We got a lot of modelers, but I don't think there was a lot of NMRA members necessarily.
No, unfortunately, due to the location and some things that have happened in the past, we've lost touch with a lot of the members or people who didn't feel welcomed in the model railroading community. And with, different people and expansion in time, we're hoping to start pulling some of those people back into our modeling groups. There are only 3 hobby stores in all of South Dakota.
Wow.
There is Donovan's Hobby over in Sioux Falls, Who's Hobby in Rapid City, and us.
Wow.
So we're trying to do our best to get out there and get people back involved, whether it's an NHOG, who cares? We just like to get the people back into the hobby.
I'm all about the G scale, Shawn.
So are we going to see these home layouts when we come?
Well, so let's see. I don't know if so mine is an hour and a half away, so that makes it kind of difficult to see. I could open it up. I mean, it would be running by then, but that's going to be quite the drive. Shawn, you're about the same distance, I think, away too. Yeah, plus you're there at the convention anyway.
Right. And unfortunately, we don't, due to where we live, we don't actually have a space to actually run any trains. I could, people could come out and look at my stuff on a shelf, but that's about it.
So there's that. And then Mike does have a layout, and he's very close.
I am very close. Yep. I'm within about 5 minutes of the club. So.
I think he's still debating on whether or not he is going to open it up for that.
Yep.
So.
Because he's going to be so busy that he can't be opening it up, right?
That's kind of it. Yeah, we're going to be stretched a little thin with our workforce that we got.
Unfortunately, we just lost one of our more active members. He moved.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, kind of like a last minute change of location. He just moved over to Wyoming, but with losing him as far as part of the club, we are going to be a little thinner than we originally anticipated.
Yeah, I think we need a model change where we get foreigners to come run the show so that you can show what you model.
I'd love that. I really would.
That would be okay.
Gordy to the punch.
So, well, we still got time for more questions, Speed, or are we
I think we have time. So thank you very, very much for a very insightful presentation, and I think I need to just sign up and show up.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
All right. Well, with that being said, then, is there any final notes you two want to say before we say goodbye?
I think we covered just about everything.
I think so as well. So remember, priority registration ends December 31st. So be sure to sign up through that link that we had in the slideshow. Cool. And I think we're going to turn that back over to our hosts.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for showing up. Don't leave the screen yet.
Yep.
We will have 2 presentations in the next hour. Dan from DVL Design, and then Bruce Alcock is going to tell us about the in-scale modules that they presented at the Oklahoma City Train Show. So thank you very much. See you back here soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the December edition of NMRAx. I'm Speed at the bottom of the helix, and with me here today is Brad Anderson. He's doing the buttons and the behind-the-scene keystrokes. Fortunately, we recovered his hard drive and was able to stream out today. So our next guest is the owner of DVL Design, LLC, a company based in Southern California that creates special effects for the premier theme park attractions around the world. Last year, his company launched a website specifically focused on providing miniaturized lighting effects for the model railroad community. Today is here to tell us about their latest product line. Please welcome Dan Van Lieshout.
Hello. Thanks for the introduction, and just here to kind of introduce my company's product. Basically, this item came about from just wanting to create miniaturized lighting effects for scale models and things like that, and attempt to do some things that hadn't been seen before, try some special effects and miniaturize them, and kind of add a little bit of excitement to the lighting of models and things like that. And basically this took a little while to develop, mostly because of the size of the little parts and things like that. But I can kind of go through the basic elements of the product. And basically it's the company name is Noble Gas and Tungsten, our product line name. And this particular product is the Neon series, which are primarily HO scale, but they work probably just as well for S and O scale. And I can kind of run through the basics. This initial screen here, it shows some of the little test photos that I've done with, stage the little neon sign in a window opening with a backdrop. And so you can kind of see the detail of the neon itself and the frame, and how you can basically have it still reveal what's inside the building, or for that matter, it could be, just a blacked out room as just as easily. And so in the next screen, basically it goes over the basic elements of the product line so far. Currently, we have over 200 unique designs, and basically they're divided into two different sizes, what I call the A size and the B size. The A size is like a more rectangular shape, and the B size is more of a square shape. And they come in 6 different LED colors: red, green, amber, yellow, blue, and white. Basically, these signs are just engraved into, very lightly engraved into a particular type of acrylic. And the acrylic panel itself is a CNC machined to create the overall form. And the other components are etched metal components, such as the sign frame and the assembly clip that holds the whole thing together. Some of the different details that you can see, it's the chain that the sign is hanging on, and the power cord, how it extends down to, and some of the different details, such as the neon wiring and little transformer profile and things of that nature, just to kind of create the illusion of an actual neon sign in a very small size. And these operate anywhere from 7.5 volts to 12 volts DC. They pull about 20 milliamps, so it's real low current draw. And they also are able to work with a couple of products out there, such as like the Woodland Scenics Just Plug system. And then also there's a company in Texas called Logic Rail Technologies. They produce a little lighting module that can do a lot of different effects, such as on and off, and timing and sequence, and flicker, things of that nature, or just basically to control the individual power to the sign. The way these signs are all configured in the semi-custom format, basically the acrylic panel covers the entire window opening, and so there's 4 different widths. Can cover a narrow window up to a much wider dimension, and can be kind of trimmed to whatever size you would require. But a lot of that needs to be determined before ordering. I provide planning templates and the assembly instructions on the website to kind of give you some kind of guidance and give you some kind of idea of the actual size of this and how it would need to fit into your structure. And so that kind of, in the photo, you can kind of see this is just being held in my fingertips, and the size, it's very small, but once it's lit up, it definitely does draw the attention and just really adds something that's, I don't think has been seen before to this degree. This is just a few of the different sign designs, the subject matter, colors, some of you can see the different types of the actual frame structure for the neon sign. It can range from the solid panel to a grid type, and then also more of an open frame, just with the not totally enclosed, it's just completely open on the ends. And the subject matter is a lot of restaurants, just service industry, pawn shops, hobby shops, automotive, diners, and pizza and hotel and things of that nature. Basically, they just are a matter of having the design that can be CNC scored or engraved on the acrylic. And so there's a lot of modifications that can be made to some of the basic designs, or a new design can be pretty quickly come up with. So the next slide shows basically how the kit arrives. You can see in the photo, there's basically the LED frame assembly with the LED attached to it with the wire leads. You would take that and basically separate the parts, do whatever painting you would want to do to the frame, leave the chain, the finish, and just assemble the parts. It's pretty straightforward assembly. It's just a matter of stacking them up and folding the clips over, and it holds the thing together, and can be easily just bonded with a couple dabs of epoxy into the structure. And but all of the parts are individually packaged and sized according to how it's ordered, and it's pretty straightforward as far as the instructions and how everything is laid out. So basically, on the website, there are the planning templates you can see on the right, and you can see that the top sheet is showing the frame size A in relationship to the acrylic panel size. And just for reference, the one that I was holding in my fingertips was basically the frame size A with a 12-foot height and a 1¼ inch width, or the -125 width as it's shown on the template. And on the assembly instructions, that's basically just the cover sheet. Each part is basically identified, and then it goes through how to just suggestions as to what tools to use. If you're familiar with any kind of work with photo etch parts and things like that, that definitely is an advantage. They have their own set of particular rules, so to speak, to work with them. But it's all pretty pretty clear and straightforward. Ordering the part on the website, it's just a matter of you selecting a sign design, and on the as you proceed down on the right, you can see where you choose the style of frame and the height of the frame, and then choose the color, and then next you would choose the acrylic panel width that you want to work with, and that's pretty much all that's required to complete the to purchase. The other two links below just show how the planning templates and assembly instructions are located on each sign's page, and so it's all fairly straightforward. Been trying to refine some of the different elements, clear up some of the different duplication of information or things that can kind of make it more confusing. But it is a semi-custom product. There is a bit of attention that needs to be paid to when selecting and making sure that you're going to order it how you would like to see it. And other things that we have on the website that are related to the neon sign, basically just power supplies. We have 7.5, 9, and 12. Some of the different LEDs are a little more powerful at 12 volts, so they need to be kind of stepped down, and it depends on which color, and some of the LED colors need to be driven at the full 12 volt. Have a wire to assist in running a power to a certain location on a structure or on a layout. I also try to provide as much solderless type elements or connectors and things like that. That kind of that way you can avoid having to solder all the different connections and such if you're not familiar with soldering, or just don't want to have to do that kind of stuff underneath the layout. There's also a dimmer that's available to basically just regulate or just dial in the brightness that you want to see with the sign itself. But again, it's pretty straightforward with all of this. It's just typical DC power and things that most people are readily available or readily comfortable with dealing with. Is just the DC voltage. And these are the examples of the items I had mentioned before. This is another way to basically control them. As I mentioned, the Logic Rail technologies, they have the Light EFX 16, which has 16 channels, so you could theoretically have 16 signs, all individually controlled however you wanted. The Woodland Scenics has the Just Plug system, and I actually have a display behind me at the moment that unit in itself has 4 different channels that could drive or 4 different signs individually and dial in the brightness of each one. And we also provide the compatible connector online just to make it easy to connect to these items. So this is just basically a side-by-side photo. The photo on the left was one that was taken for one of our ads that we run monthly in Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine, and it's basically just a structure. Actually, this is an unpainted structure with the NE series or neon sign put in place, and just an AI image of a old-fashioned TV repair shop. And then the thing that I noticed when doing it was that when I had it turned off, but the background was still lit, even when these signs are not lit, the realism at this size or scale is, it's just probably never been seen before, because the photo on the right, not powered up, you can still see what looks like neon tube, hanging on the frame. And this particular is an A size, and so the rectangular area you see there is basically 0.69 inches wide and 0.36 inches tall. So these things are very, very small, very to scale, HO scale, and you can see the hanging chain, or the chains that the sign hangs on. You can see the power cord going down to the simulated neon power supply, and the wiring to the actual individual neon letters and such. And this was kind of like a happy little accident with the thing being turned off and actually getting this photo, because I never really noticed when the things were turned off how real they still looked at that size. This is just kind of a little behind the scenes shot, just another ad for a monthly photo, or another photo for a monthly ad. And this is another AI generated image that was used, just the interior of a record store, and the Groove Records sign just hanging in the window. For the photos, I use just a typical 35 millimeter digital camera, and I have some LED lighting that's able to control in front of the storefront and behind, lighting up the background. So I'm perfecting how how this is done, to get to capture the image as best possible. And sometimes it goes quickly, and sometimes it takes a little bit more effort. So, and this couple examples of some sign kits that were installed. This is a couple images that were sent to me by Dario Ladon up in Canada, who also has a name of Rail Scale Miniatures. And I just had to include these because of how he was able to photograph and capture the two signs, and the one being more of a daytime shot and the one being more of a nighttime shot. And you could see how these really do capture the look of a neon sign in miniature. And it's just, I don't know, it's something that I hadn't seen before, and when I was able to prototype this thing for the first time, it just really captured the look and feel, and even better in person. Capturing them with a photo is one thing, but in person, there's still that element of that just can't be captured on camera or video. So, feedback.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
You mentioned these things are tiny and they are HO scale. What is wrong with scale?
Well, they can scale. It's just there is a portion of the sign. There's the top that it's about, I think it's a 0.4 inches, and so it basically blocks off. Say, for instance, if you were to put this in a window, it may block off a window above. In situations, I guess N scale would still work. It's just, it basically doubles the sign in scale. I'll have to actually try an N scale building and actually kind of take a look and see, because originally the whole focus, was from the beginning where it was show scale type person. I just, where I started, and
so my technical curiosity is taking over here. On your second here, below the television one, there's the thing you buy, right? So there's a metal with neon engraved on it. is up with the electronics are, or is that the LED is?
The right
And
are
it's look-
actually behind the etched metal part where you can see where it says NE for neon, the atomic symbol for
Yes.
neon.
Yes.
And that's
Okay.
actually this LED strip behind it. It's actually 3 LEDs. Let me go back to let's see, where was that one? If you look closely on the left-hand side, you can see the LED strip, and there are 3 little side emitting LEDs.
Okay. Okay.
And there's a little resistor, and basically the 3 LEDs are in series with the resistor for 12 volts. And, so they're a side emitting, and they basically project their light the edge of the acrylic part. That's if you look at the acrylic part, it's cut into the top of the panel. LEDs kind of sit down in that and line up with the edge, and do that total internal reflection magic that causes the gray light up. And
So it's almost like those trophy plates they etch in a glass and then put the LED.
exact same thing. This is
And then the black parts, and then I noticed that there's a little bigger rectangle in there. Is that just cosmetic then, or to
the black piece that has the little jagged edges on it? That is actually a piece of microfiber cloth that I include to just handle the cleaning of the acrylic before you assemble it, because dust particles or fingerprint oils and things like that will also start glowing sometimes, and it's just basically a safe piece of material to clean off the acrylic and not damage the finish that is on there. And then the little rectangular etched metal part down below that you can, if you look close, it says LEDs. That is the little spacer element that is used to
offset it?
Yeah, it basically offsets from the acrylic just a little bit, and to kind of give that additional realism of how the frame is not like right up against the neon. So there's just it creates a little bit of a gap, and helps to put the way together.
Okay, so in the color image itself, there's a black grid there in the side,
Right.
and then in that grid there's the rectangle, and I noticed that you have them all the designs.
Right. Yes. So the little black rectangles, that's kind of just to simulate a neon, the neon power supply that they
ballast
put on
ballast
the
thing or
ballast.
something.
There you go. And then the little curvy, a little squiggly kind of looking things that basically just simulates the wiring that kind of goes on in between the different LED elements and such. They sometimes they'll have a completely formed into or made of continuous neon tube or individual letters. So I didn't want to get too busy with the wiring. I just kind of wanted to go show something. I mean, the big point of all of this was to not just have an etched image just on acrylic. I wanted to have it as realistic as possible, and to actually, if you have a deep interior, you can still see through it, and you can see both the interior and the lighted sign at the same time.
Cool.
So and also being able to adjust the brightness of your interior, adjusted the brightness of your sign, and it's not just just throw the thing together and just turn on the LEDs full brightness. So
okay, few geography questions. Are you going to appear at the Amherst Hobby Show in Springfield, Massachusetts anytime soon?
I have been put on the list. I haven't heard anything back, because I understand that they're more of a juried show, right? Where you're invited to that show?
I hope not. That's a huge show that everybody should be able to go.
Oh, I'll have to contact them again, because I think I emailed somebody about maybe 6-8 months ago, and they said something about just, well, you're on our list and we'll get back.
Okay.
So
I'll ask a few questions myself. International, because we have some down under here that is willing to get some of these, and how would they get some signs in Australia?
I have shipped to Canada, and I will have to look at my Shopify store settings. I believe I have all of those areas already selected, but obviously I won't know until someone actually places an order. But I'm pretty sure I have all of those areas selected to ship to, and Shopify is probably your best bet as far as setting up a small store for items for something like this, where it's just they do all the work, and the shipping, and the person ordering can choose from whichever shipper they prefer that comes up from wherever they're ordering. And I believe it's just a matter of providing customs, the product info when it's shipped, and they take it from there.
Okay, so the last question, you just showed us the Neon series. So are there other model railroad products, or are you planning other products?
Also on the website, that was start on series, but I've also have fiber optics as well as pre-wired LEDs, or pre-wired and resistor. Some of the little tiny, I think it's 0402, and I think there might even be one size smaller than that. But just having an assortment of just different things, where, if customers place an order for a sign, or if they're actually just coming here strictly for fiber optics or for LEDs. But basically, the main focus has been getting these off the ground and getting the designs worked out, and also getting packaged. And I'm also working on getting these to a more retail friendly packaging, because these are more of a semi-custom version available through the website, but I'm also looking to do more of a kind of standardized version, and packaging for retail, that I can contact hobby shops and online hobby dealers and things like that to carry certain line of different designs. And so that's also in the process, and that would be something I need to work out for being at a show, so to speak.
Cool. Well, Dan, thank you very, very much. These things, and so if we could just shrink them by, maybe half, then I will definitely buy a few of them.
Well, I will give an N scale building a try and just kind of see, because these, I think someone was asking me, and I think the smallest, or the smallest letter I've done so far is about 40 thousandths tall, and that's just a little over a 32nd inch tall, and I'm sure
that might work
in N scale. That will probably work. So
thank you very much. For everybody else, we're gonna show a video of me recording Bruce Alcock at the Oklahoma City Trainshow, showing off their NRail layout, N-track and T-track combination. And it was big enough to make a 40-minute video with him explaining all the modules to me. So thank you, Dan, and see you guys here in a minute.
Hi there, I'm Speed, not at the bottom of the helix, and with me is Bruce Alcock, and he's going to show us everything about the layout they have here at the Oklahoma Train Show.
The yard, this is a 4-module T-track yard that we built for staging trains, and we're coming into a set of 3 modules over here, which are part of our Cimarron County set. That's Boise City, which was a city that was actually bombed in World War II. It's the only one mainland city, but it was bombed by U.S. Army bombers that were on a run and mistook the lights of the city for the bombing range. Then we come further west, and that's where all the dinosaur digs are located. Now OU sends teams up there to dig out the fossils, and continuing, we have the hoodoos of that area, and then finally Black Mesa, which is the tallest point in Oklahoma. This is our inside corner, which has 2 little pieces at either end to compensate so that we match up with the modules on the other side, which we'll see in a minute. And we've got a steel industry over there. And right next to that is our Star Wars module using some Lego figures.
Even have footsteps.
Here is our cotton field. Cotton is a big crop in Oklahoma.
They still do cotton?
And
today, still cotton?
Yeah, cotton is still grown a lot today. The center is shifted down towards the southwestern part of the state, then on into Texas. But it's still a very big crop down here. And of course, right next to it is Jurassic Park. Every layout has to have a Jurassic Park with. Let's see, there's somebody right down here who's, I think, trying to run away from one of the raptors. And
the Great Escape?
Right. Right next to it is the Oklahoma City downtown Santa Fe station that's now used by Amtrak, and that's home of the Heartland Flyer. We have one of our members, relatively new members, that went ahead and decided to do this. Virtually all of the components except for the station itself are 3D printed, and he does the printing himself, design work, printing, and this together. Okay, this is Cushing. Cushing, Oklahoma is the pipeline crossroads of the world, certainly in the United States, and that's where Texas crude is priced. There are pipelines that come in here from all over and go back out to east and north. And then next to Cushing, we start our Route 66 modules, and this is the crossing of the Verdigris. The Verdigris is intertwined with the McClellan Waterway, which runs from the port of Catoosa in Oklahoma all the way into the Arkansas, to the Mississippi, and out into the Gulf of Mexico. So Oklahoma has an ocean-going port.
And that's Catoosa in the background there?
That's Catoosa all the way in the back, yes, it is.
And in real life, 2 operating layouts at the top of the hill there.
Right. And one N scale and 1 HO. Next to that is the Blue Whale, which is a landmark along Route 66. All of these are places along 66 now. The old Route 66 also had various businesses, one of which was Francoma Pottery, which was the only company that perfected the single fire pottery technique. And they are now out of business, as I understand it. And next to that is a ranch with some cattle, and we have the Dilly Dairy, because Route 66 had lots of businesses like dairies and cattle ranching and whatnot along it. Here we have a sample Oklahoma town. This happens to be, we call Bristow, which is about halfway between Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And in fact, the Bristow station is now a museum and has a water tank next to it, which this is former Frisco line and is now run by the Stillwater Central. So we added some animation to this. That's a Caddo crossing, and this module has seen a couple of years of service already, so some of the gates are in need of repair. Which continuing with the west side of Bristow, and the road turns into the Sooner Snooze motel module. Again, Route 66 had a number of motels along it, and of course oil wells. And this is a Walther's oil well that we did a lot of work on to get it running slowly.
Going fairly slow.
It is. We've got a potentiometer underneath to regulate it, but one of the problems is there's so much resistance in the mechanism that you have to have a very high starting voltage, and then it runs too fast.
Okay.
So.
Still Route 66, right?
Further down along Route 66 in Arcadia is the Arcadia Round Barn, and right across from that is the MKT coming down from Kansas and terminating in Oklahoma City. And next to that is a filler module, which again has a restaurant on it, and then we run into the Yukon modules. We have two modules for Yukon. And the first one is the city of Yukon, and on the east side of the city is Yukon's Best Flour, which is part of the Yukon Mill and Grain Company. And this structure still stands today. It's not used anymore, but it's there as a landmark. We had those decals custom made for us because they're just not available. And took pictures of the grain elevator and sent them out to be made into decals. And we have a junction module which we built. This is actually these are 19-inch corners, and we use straight pieces of track so that we can use two sets of 19-inch radius right next to one another, since Caddo doesn't make anything close to 19-inch for the outer track. This provides, junction modules provide a really good way of being able to connect various layouts or other aspects of the layout. Here we have the Norman station, which was part of a two-module set. And this is Norman, Oklahoma. And again, we went down, took pictures, and came back and tried to do a really close facsimile of what is in the Norman station.
And go.
So the right across from the station was a supply company, and some of these buildings have been torn down and replaced with apartments now. The one building over here was a supply building for University of Oklahoma, and they actually had a loading dock for railroad trucks. And then if we look all the way down on the left side, we see the OU football stadium. We managed to get in.
Are they winning or losing?
Well, they have done very well. I guess they beat Alabama yesterday.
Cool.
So yesterday, I think it was yesterday. That's right.
Reach a specific place?
So this is just Actually, I modeled Erie, Lackawanna, and so that right next to Norman, Oklahoma, we got a viaduct that's typical of Lackawanna trackage going through New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
And so that's the end of the T-track modules, right?
That's right.
And then in order to connect them to the N-track, they built this helix. Now, they forgot to put a hole in the middle there so I could get in there. Have to negotiate with somebody. Okay,
Yeah,
and then
trying to scenic a helix is one of those, impossible tasks, even though we've got a few people who had some ideas. None have come up with a hole in the center yet. We get a lot of interest in the audience on that. This is a 1-foot filler. One of them is cut and the other one is fill. This happens to be fill, and you can guess the cut. It has topology that's opposite that.
I don't know what...
This is a junction module that we have here. It's freelance. Okay. This is a junction module that is basically freelance, not based on any particular location, but is very nicely done module that was originally built by a person down in Dallas, Texas area. But it's very nicely done, and it's really great for being able to come up with some imaginative ideas. For example, we have this branch line that goes down to an end loop at the end, which we'll take a look at later, and comes back. So trains go down there, come back up through here.
Is there any significance with the 3 rails and then the 1 in the back?
There normally N-track is a minimum of 3. It's red, yellow, blue, and then they came up with alternate blue, and the intent was use either blue or alternate blue, but since you can't put an alternate blue and a blue module next to one another, this group decided to do both of them, and that also gives them an extra track.
What's the red light for?
That's just for making sure we don't have any shorts. So if there's a short, we can tell.
The light will go out?
And the light will go out, yeah, or start blinking.
Okay, some
so this
facilities here.
This is one of the modules that came up from Texas, and we have some space for storage of. And then we go into another junction set here. This is Lake Tinzar, as we call it, and that is right next to there's a beach there. And then this goes into Rodeo Junction, and this rodeo arena is based on the Schrock Park in Tuttle.
Tuttle, Oklahoma, right?
Tuttle, Oklahoma, yeah. And they have rodeos there, local rodeos, as well as 4-H activities. This is our airport module that's been around for probably 40 years. It's gone through some renovation, but and we have some newer type aircraft, like the one right in the center of the screen. Some visitors came down for the train show.
The circular kind.
And, so we've gone through and redone some aspects, and some of them that didn't. Now the air that's coming up blowing the prop is from an aquarium pump underneath, and it's still the same aquarium pump that we had originally on this module.
Oh, so there's air driving.
The air is driving that, right.
Comes to that little hole.
Right.
That is pretty neat. And then you're also scanning for...
we've got radar that are trying to prevent our extraterrestrial visitors from coming in, but they snuck in while the radar was facing the other way.
I'm gonna copy the approach lights here.
Okay.
And you have a cattle drive.
This is modeled after one of the wildlife preserves down towards Lawton. And of course, cattle are everywhere in Oklahoma, so you have to have cattle coming down to the railroad tracks to be taken to market. Oddly enough, you hear about the cattle drives and the Chisholm Trail, and they only lasted about 20 years until the railroads came in and started transporting cattle to centers like Kansas City and Chicago. And now all of that's done locally, and western Kansas has a couple of really big packing plants.
Okay, next set of modules is...
This is Richmond, Texas, which is brought down by Russell Straw. And do you want me to get Russell to come over?
Please, let's pause here and go find him. And here is Russell Straw from somewhere, Sugarland, and he's going to tell us about Richmond, Texas in 1951.
Okay. So this is the old depot, the Southern Pacific Depot, and behind it there are a couple of houses. Those houses are built from scratch to resemble the actual structures that were there. It's somewhat compressed over, because Richmond is a lot longer town than I had, but the old city hall with the swimming pool and water tower by it, and behind it was St. John's Methodist Church, and the courthouse, the county courthouse for Fort Bend County, was back in the back. And then we had the downtown section along. The tracks were called Mud Alley. We had a little lane on either side, and it was kind of the poorer side of town. But then we had the Gasoline Alley, and finally the bridges over the Brazos River. And I just kind of wound the Brazos River around, and it disappears because I wanted to bring the other two N-track lines around the back and have them reappear, because Richmond only had one rail line going through it in this direction.
And so Richmond is close to Houston then?
It's just outside of Houston on the southwest side. The next county over, Fort Bend County.
This is beautifully done. There's also a photo down here.
That's an old aerial photo. That's taken from quite a way, but you can see the water tower off in the distance and the river with the bridge going over it off in the upper right-hand corner of the image.
So you can get the same view here. What is that building with the structure across the roof?
Oh, that is the cottonseed oil plant, where they would take cotton seeds and press them for the oil. It was used in animal feed, and for, if it was ultra refined, it could be used for cooking oil. And
oh, this is beautifully done. Thank you for sharing.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, then we go from Richmond on to...
we call this Lee's Crossing because it was the person who built it is Lee, and he brought this into the club a number of years ago. So that's one of the few privately owned modules that we have. Most of the club modules are just that, club module, or the layout. This is, we call this corner KOKN, which is the radio station for the club. We, of course, there's some Charolais cattle that are out here.
Look at the roots of these branches. Branches? Then they have a door.
A lift gate, which I'll go
lift
ahead
gate.
and lift up here to show you. And this does have a cutoff so that trains don't end up on the floor. Hopefully. So we actually have two of these bridges. and they come in very handy. We just are at the point where ducking under modules doesn't cut it anymore. This is another one of our killer modules. It's factory. Takes us to another junction module, which is just used as a corner at this point. The farm corner can be used both as a junk.
You have a train meet?
I don't think anybody's using it. I think Ken said he was trying to, but it just... Oh, okay.
Okay, corner module.
So corner module with another Walther's about 4 or 5 of those across the layout. And now we're in what we call Centennial Yard, which was built the year of the Oklahoma Centennial. And the person who built the water tower thought that since it was slightly off-center, that he'd call it Tower of Peace. Huh? Right. So this actually is modeled after a DeLisi facility that's in Yukon, and they really do have that kind of
rotating
distribution of the sand products. In back we have some, actually that's modeled after or painted after the OU Medical Center that's in downtown Oklahoma City.
A lot of OU fans here.
So, yeah. This is a car repair facility we have, and again, more of those buildings in back. And then we have the engine terminal. Tingler Engine Terminal is named after one of our members, Jake Tingler. We try and name our locations after either real locations or members.
Okay, going to show the control panel here.
Yep, the control panel for the switches. And for this end, we've got one at either end.
You guys also have I assume a programming.
This is one of our
tools to program a locomotive.
Well, one of our visiting modelers brought that along up.
Okay.
So.
Okay, for the next set we have Brian from Track, and he's going to tell us about this line of modules that's coming down all the way into the Y with the red button I asked about earlier. Sorry, red light. So Brian, what is happening here?
Okay, well, these modules were all built in different stages. This one that you're looking at here, and the one that is 3 modules down with the cities on it down there, were built as a single pair.
Okay.
And that would have been about 15 years ago, believe it or not. And those were built for a club member. I built them for a club member who was relatively new to the hobby, but didn't have a lot of experience, but kind of knew what he wanted. Mm-hmm. He knew he wanted a little town. He knew he wanted a little container facility, which is nowadays a little trailer and flat car facility, and he wanted a little road through it all, and a little passenger station again. So we built those, and then I started building my 8 feet, and I built them about the time, unfortunately, that club member passed away.
Oh no.
And so his wife bequeathed the modules back to me, which was very kind. And then I built this middle 4 and started to put a little space between the industrial and the city scene to have what would have been a little facility off scene here with a little abandoned track, just to try to bring a little more interest, a little more, a little hill into it, make it a little less flat. And unfortunately, I got stopped. Work got in the way, family, things happened. So I gave all 16 feet to a fellow club member.
Oh.
And he still maintains them, monitors them. In fact, over the holidays, we plan to actually give them a complete facelift.
Oh, cool.
And refresh them and bring them all back to, back to original condition. Because now, this set of modules ranges from 7 to 15 years old.
Wow.
So they do ride up with wear. They do pretty well. But as you can see, there's some things we're going to work on, touching up roads, fixing buildings. We're going to bring the city back into a cohesive view. We're going to add some signals and some lights and just kind of make it a lot of fun.
I just want to make a comment that it looks like Austin has a lot of parking, just like the highway.
Yes. Unfortunately, unlike real small town Texas, there's plenty of available parking in this town. But that was one of the original specs from Walt, the original member I built it for. He said, Brian, I want angled parking all up and down the street.
Oh, cool.
And so we built it. It's not unlike a lot of small town Texas, where you have the little strip of buildings, a Pizza Hut, a state highway running through the middle of it. And then he brought in from his experience, since he had been around the world, spent a lot of time on the East Coast. He wanted a passenger station, so he kind of blended that into the more, western feel, southwestern feel of the module, and that kind of, made it a little more interesting.
Cool.
Fast forward a few years, and about 3 years ago, so that'd be in, 2022, I built this module and the end module. So I have a home layout, and I model Central Texas aggregate service on a former SP branch.
Okay.
And I ended up with, as you fuss around and you choose eras and this, that, and the other, I ended up with extra rolling stock. And I was like, well, I want someplace to put this rolling stock. So I built this module and the end module. And you got to imagine the middle one not being there yet. This industry is actually located over here. And I decided, okay, well, I'm going to have a place so the quarry's off scene. The trucks come in from off, and they load into the crusher, and it comes up, gets crushed, sorted, loaded. And I was like, you know what? That's not enough track. You need a little more space to be able to load gondolas and hoppers. So after the Temple show in August, I decided, well, I'm going to do something about it. So I built the middle four.
Cool.
And so this is a brand spanking new section, this middle four, that was actually premiered at the New Braunfels Trainshow 3 weeks ago.
Oh, so it's not first on site, but close enough.
Yeah, this is only the second time it's been used, and some more interesting elements. I wanted that feel, because it seems like quarries a lot. So I was trying to get more of a country feel, because so much of Texas is just kind of wide open spaces, and you see these there. So I wanted to expand on the industry, but keep that kind of country feel. So you got your country store, you've got a little bit of the heavy industry feel that's going on, all over Central Texas. And then I obviously got Happy loading cars to match it. So the aggregate loads are actually kind of interesting, because we use 3D printed loads. So they're 3D printed loads, but that's actually real rock. That's real sifted white limestone from the quarries that this represents. So the rock, the varying grades of rock and the hoppers and loads, we got the varied look by using different shapes on the printed loads under it, and then putting the real rock over the top. And actually took the time to go out and shovel and sift the rock, so that we would be using the real McCoy. And so that's what we're going for. Try to get a little bit of greenery here and there, get that kind of lonely open feel, and add a little bit of traffic on the road. And just, this show was nice because folks up here obviously love their CAT equipment, so I was able to score some CAT equipment for the quarry.
Cool.
It's always a nice thing. and that's where it's at. So the modules vary on the string you just saw, just vary anywhere from 15 years to 15 days old.
So, two questions. Do you have any spare hoppers and gondolas?
Spare?
Like more?
Yes, I do.
So you could expand this a little longer?
Yeah, yes, I could. I can actually fill up all these sidings and still run a train.
Cool.
And that doesn't even begin to touch the ones that I run out of the quarries at my house. I run 2 quarries this size at my home railroad.
Oh, wow. And last question, did you have fun doing this?
Absolutely. I really love model railroading. I mean, the one piece of advice I always give people, what I think is the most important thing, is build your railroad for you.
Cool.
So you have fun doing it.
Okay, on to the grand finale.
Okay. So this is Big Canyon, which is actually a location south of Davis, Oklahoma. It's DeLisi runs a quarry facility there, and we visited that on a rail fanning trip to the area because the tracks run between the river and the quarry, and it seemed like a really perfect way of doing an end loop. So you can use the hillside to hide the tracks swinging around. So we went down there, took some pictures, and came back and put together this module. And what we do is we run 2 of the lines around on one side, and they connect to 2 lines on the other side. So red actually runs into alt blue, and yellow runs into the blue line. And then we can go ahead and work with some way of bringing those lines together, or run with modules that have alt blue and blue on them. This is a fairly loose interpretation simply because that facility is so big, but we do have areas like, for example, the river is on one side and then the tracks and then the quarry on the other side. And we did get some pictures of where they do the loading, the crusher and whatnot.
So if you run your train in here, then you have some trailing in switch moves to get to there?
If in this case, yeah, well actually what you would do is run the trains around, and over there you can see that there's a siding for the switcher, so the road engine could cut off and then the switcher push the cars in here. We have a set of cars that we're getting ready to use specifically for this facility. So we'll have those.
And then you can get the road power in front again and then run your train out.
Road power in front, yeah. And these switches, for example, are basically slide switches. And we do that so that you can actually
change the frog polarity?
Change the frog polarity, right. Those are live frogs.
Cool.
Which we prefer. So this
is that a kit or a?
That's actually Walther's glacier gravel kit. I think we used 2 of them in order to get all the parts that we needed for it. So we have a lot of spare parts left over.
Where do one find these trucks and things?
Actually, the large truck was 3D printed. We went ahead and painted it. And some of them are just, I forget the name of the company now, but there is Caterpillar stuff that's available online. But the mine truck is definitely 3D printed. We have one of our members does the trees. He uses sage that he gets up in Colorado, and he uses that to make trees. Shapes them and cuts them down. And this is the Washita River that runs through Oklahoma and down into, I think that runs into the Canadian River.
Well, Bruce, thank you very much for the tour. Last thing I'm going to ask is what's with that bluish, yellowish logo over there? Who are these people?
Oklahoma NRail. We're located in Oklahoma City. We cover the greater Oklahoma City area. And we've been around for about close to 50 years now. We welcome new members and hope that you enjoyed this tour.
Thank you very much. Talk to you soon. Do you use a camera to run on this T-track and N-track?
Yep. This is how we do our video on the rails.
And it records it, or does it broadcast it?
Actually, it records it. There's a SD card in here, but it can also broadcast. But if you're using your phone to run the train, it becomes a little difficult to also capture
the video. Cool. So you want to tell us a little bit about this DCC powerhouse here?
Sure. We've got, this is our controller, our main controller, and then we have other units for boosters. This does not plug into the rails at all. It just simply, we plug in the other units. We did put in a PM42 in here, which is power management, so that we can use this solo on smaller layouts. On a larger layout like this, where we need additional boosters, what we do is we go ahead and we use a separate one. This is one of our boosters in a box.
And you have a few of them scattered around the layout then?
And yeah, we've got 2 of them. We've got another one that's over on the N-track loop.
And JMRI running on a Raspberry Pi?
JMRA is running there. We've got an external router, because we find that sometimes the routing capability of the Raspberry Pi is not sufficient for us to be able to get the kind of coverage we want.
People can use their phones and wireless throttles.
Right.
Wi-Fi throttles.
Yep.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
Hi, 3, 2, 1, we're live.
We're back.
Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Thank you for Bruce and the other 2 young fellows for describing this layout. And thank you, Speed, for making us seasick. That will bring us to the end of today's festivities. And me and Brad are looking forward to seeing you in the new year at the Amherst Hobby Model Rail Show in Springfield, Massachusetts. He asked me not to tell you that because he might be upside down. So we will release the schedule for next year's NMRAx somewhere around the train show in Springfield. And with that, Brad, if you don't want to say something, I'm going to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, very moonshine, more moonshine, and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks. See you later.
Bye.